Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to a DFS strategy video for the 2026 RBC Heritage. My name is Eric, and I'm here with SweetSpotDFS to try to target the optimal lineup this week and give you all the golfers that are going to do so. Of course, ways we find those golfers are looking at the golf course, the tournament information, past optimal and GPP winning lineups, going into the bucket system for this week. For this week's tournament, and then also looking at the Marquee Tee Times before building lineups for each and every one of you that has a badge next to your name. So that requires you to be a red tier member on this YouTube channel, which is just $1.99 a month. So if you want me to build you lineups here on YouTube, I will do that for you. Just cost you $1.99 a month, 50 cents a week, 50 cents a week. Okay. Before we get into the video, reminder of giveaways. I'm actually going to say this. There's a link for a video down below if you want to learn how to gain an entry. But I'll apply the giveaways that I do weekly and monthly. If you want to learn how to get an entry, again, link in the description of this video. That also applies to this giveaway, which I will be giving $1,000 away once we hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you're not yet subscribed, do so. And if you want an entry, go create an account at SweetSpotDFS.com. But again, like I said, how to earn entries down in the description. Go check out that video. Most of you guys already know. A reminder that this is a live stream, so I will be talking to my chat here and there, as well as just going over the videos. I'll try to talk to the chat after each of my segments, so you can check out the timestamps down below. That'll allow you to go, forward in time. You can skip if you want to, me talking to the chat. But yeah, let's go ahead and run that giveaway right now. It's a weekly giveaway. We have 25 total entries. Once I hit yes, we will have our winner. But first, a drum roll. Nathan Johnson. Congrats, Nathan. I don't know. You have an error. Oh, no. Oh, no. Reference does not exist. I'll have to fix that. You got selected from somewhere, Nathan. This one right here. What happened? Master roll call number 2. Okay. I don't know how that got deleted. All right, I just wanted to double check, because if this is off, that'd be real sad. I think we're good. I think we're good. Nathan, congrats, man. You got $5 for the weekly giveaway. I know it's going to show somebody else's name, but that is how the random function works on Google Sheets. Now, all of these will go towards the monthly giveaway, and the monthly giveaway will be ran at the beginning of next month. So congratulations, everybody. Thank you all for participating. We had a very successful Masters week with, getting new, I should say, subscribers to come to the channel. So that was all great. All right. Now, before I get in the video, let me just chat with everybody here. Ryan, what's going on? Nice to see you. Joanne, always nice to see you as well. Good evening. Corey, what's going on? Hit that like. If we get to 25 likes, I'll give out 5 free YouTube memberships, which will allow you to watch the members only stream that I do Wednesday nights. And that is the white tier. You need to become a white tier member in order to watch those Wednesday streams. But of course, I give away memberships if we can get videos to 25 likes. So please help out in doing that. And I will gift some memberships. It's random, so it just depends. It'll go anywhere. But yeah, hit the like button. Scotty getting another jacket this week. Whoa, Joanne is back on the Scotty train. If you've been with, if you watch these videos a lot, you pay attention to the chat. Joanne has been very anti-Scotty most of this year, and rightfully so. I mean, she's been spot on. So maybe we have our oracle in the chat right now, letting us know that Scotty is going to win the tournament. Mr. Marlowe, good evening. Ryan says about time. All right, so Sunday I streamed. Hopefully you were able to watch the preview video, the review of the Masters and the preview. Then I worked on the website. Now there are things behind the scenes that you guys have no idea what's required, but it's just kind of smoothing out the rough edges. I spent maybe 3 hours Sunday night working on it. I did do like the beginning of updating for the next week. Then Monday came around. I had a lot of things going on Monday. I think I mentioned this in the preview video. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but I got a new job. So I've been, having to do, go take a drug test, fill out some paperwork, all that kind of stuff. So I've been kind of doing all of those things. And then I met up with a friend to go golfing. When I got back, boom, it was like 7 o'clock. I had gotten a cluster headache. Most of you guys know I've been battling cluster headaches. If you have no idea what they are, go check it out. It's brutal. It is awful. And so I got that. I recovered from it around 8 p.m., but then I passed out. Slept to about 10:30. When I woke up, I felt miserable, so I went back to sleep. And basically, there was this just back and forth of waking up, going back to bed, waking up, going back to bed, waking up, going back to bed, until I woke up at 11 o'clock today, which didn't really set me, whatever. And then I had more tasks to do. So then, and then on top of that, I brought my car in thinking that it was going to be kind of a quick fix. I was at the mechanic for 4 hours. So I haven't been able to update a lot of things. I apologize to each and every one of you guys. Haven't been able to really get the website up and ready until right before the stream. Same goes with the cheat sheet. And for you, Ryan, the optimizer I literally built 5 minutes before jumping live. So I will send you the optimizer when I can. By the way, everybody, I will be using the cheat sheet on SweetSpotDFS.com. This is free for all of you guys to use. You can go under Fantasy Tools into the cheat sheet and find it there. But also under the optimizer, the drop down for the optimizer, if you click on that, you'll get to a page that looks like this. Put in your email address here, hit request now, and I will see that request, and then I'll send it to you. So yeah, Ryan, I will send you that optimizer right now. Same with you, Corey. Or is it Cody? Cody? I forget. I think it's CG. Is it Cody Gamble or Corey? I think it's Cody. My bad. So bear with me as I send these people their optimizer. All right, Ryan, I sent you one, and Mr. Gamble. By the way, tonight's stream might be really, really fast. I still have residual head stuff going on. So we'll probably make this as quick as possible. Okay. With that being done, okay, so all the optimizers that have been sent to me already, they have been pushed out there. Mr. Marlowe just came in right now. So I'll send Mr. Marlowe his optimizer. All right, there you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into the golf course and tournament information right now. All right, here with the tournament information, you can find this tool on SweetSpotDFS.com underneath the tournament stats. Just go ahead, type in the tournament name, and we're going to get a lot of information that comes with this tournament. Now, it is worth noting, if you can see in the little box here, it's kind of been an update. 2024, 2025, and this year are considered signature events. You can see it's a limited field size. It should be 82. I think I failed to update that right before coming live, but it's 82 golfers in the field this week. But again, you can see it's been a limited field event, and the winning score has been somewhere between 17 and 19 under while being a signature event. But if you want to use the summaries up here, you can see the average winning score is just a little below minus 15 as your winning score. Lowest winning score is minus 22. Highest winning score is minus 9. With the we don't have to worry about a cut. Again, there's no cut. You can see there were no cut scores for the last 2 years. There's no cut for this tournament. So here's what you can do. I like going over these segments, whereas other people in the industry, they just like to just give you information. Let me give you payoffs to what to do with this information. Personally, any of the tools on SweetSpotDFS.com, you can go in here and drill into, for tournament stats, our field size, we want under 100, but I want something greater than 18. So I'm going to say like 60. We'll go from 60 to 100. You could drill down into the signature event type if you want, but I'm just going to keep it right here. And we could even go into the winning score and just go minus, this is our highest score. Let's just go minus 19 to minus 15. And just let's go minus 20. Let's do minus 20. Let's open it up just a little bit. And then you hit the X mark here, and actually let's move this 1 week forward. So remember the date, look at the date. You can look at as many months, weeks, years back that you want. This is currently basically looking at 1 year. Let me update that even. I'm gonna move it up 1 week. So it's like 1 year's worth of data. Who are the best golfers at signature events as well as a winning score that's between minus 15 to minus 20? If you sort by strokes gained total, and that's just for this strokes gained stats page, you're going to see the golfers that are the best, for strokes gained total. I like strokes gained total because, like I've said to Byron Lindeque, my buddy Byron does back 9 bets. This is golf. This is just golf, baby. And what I mean by that is anybody, you can do anything on the golf course to get the ball in the hole. Maybe you're a little off with your approach shot, but you want to know how you make it up, you chip the ball in, or you chip the ball close. Does that work with everybody? No, but you also don't understand how these golfers are hitting their shots unless you're watching each of their shots. So if their approach is bad, is it because they're firing at pins that are in tucked locations and just missing by a couple feet? That could be something. Maybe they were in trouble off the tee, and that, that in its own lend itself to either good approach stats or bad approach stats or neutral stats, but then they're around the green stats are really good. Maybe it's because they put themselves in a position that allowed them an easier chip. We don't know all those things. So strokes gained total just tells me these golfers are the best at getting the ball in the hole in the least amount of times possible. I really don't care about approach. I really don't care about off the tee this week. There's a video that I've yet to post about how I think strokes gained stats are overrated. And I literally use this tournament as an example. Now, here's what I'll say. I never had the lead in stats tool. This is a great tool that you guys can use. This is behind a paywall. So you'd have to go look. You can see every single year what stats really mattered. So here's the top of the leaderboard. You can go ahead and put in strokes gained last year, and you can look to see how many golfers, like if I were to sort this by best approach to worst approach, you can see how some of the golfers fared. Not everybody finished inside the top 10. And in fact, if you went every year, you go back every year, you're not going to find the majority of the people that are best at approach inside the top 10. Sure, Scottie Scheffler won, but guess what? Scottie Scheffler's the best golfer in the world. But we have one top 10 in Colin Morikawa, and then their next one is Justin Thomas down here. I don't have a number that comes with this to tell you, approach-wise, where he is in the field, but you can see he's fairly far down here. So again, don't get fooled by people saying that approach is going to matter at this event more than others. Is that how you're going to get on Tom Hoagie in 2023? I mean, this is when there was a missed cut. Or how about Akshay Bhatia or Tom Kim at $8,500? Were you getting on those golfers and absolutely ruining your lineups? There is a reason I go over the bucket system. There's a reason why I provide these stats for you guys, or these tools for you guys to go take a look. I mean, again, I haven't posted this yet. I haven't posted that video yet that shows you how strokes gain stats are overrated. But if I sorted by strokes gain off the tee, you will find more success at this event, the RBC Heritage, with good strokes gain off the tee than you would strokes gain approach. And again, I haven't done it yet. I haven't posted that video yet. But I just want to put that out there. This is called the Lead and Stats tool. This is one of the best tools I've created so far on SweetSpotDFS.com. So if you are a subscriber to this site, if you're a member to this site, you have access to this and you can go take a look. Just go ahead and put an RBC Heritage under the tournament, go through all the years. I have this currently on strokes gain last year, but you go strokes gain last 7 weeks, and you can take a look to see who are the hottest golfers coming in on any individual stat, and you will see their results at this event. So anyways, that was kind of a tangent off of what I was talking about with tournament stats. But again, when it comes to the filters that you want to place, you know, I had put in field size and winning score, and that was it. And then you can see strokes gain total, you know, the golfers that are doing the best coming into this event. And you can see how many rounds go towards their score. So maybe you want to ignore some of these that have only 4 rounds or even 8 rounds, but you can see the rest of the golfers. I mean, Kurt Kitayama, I bet you not a lot of people are talking about Kurt Kitayama this week, $7,100. Didn't really play that well at the Masters, but coming into this event in these kind of event, or coming into this week, playing these types of events, he's one of the best in the field. Scheffler, Fleetwood, Kitayama, Henley, Cam Young, Xander. These are all golfers with more than 8 rounds. Harry Hall even. Colin Morikawa with his back injury. Be careful with that. But yeah, you can see the rest of the golfers here. So that's what I like to use the tournament stats page for, is just grabbing little data points here. This is a signature event this week. You can see that under 2026, we have 80 golfers in the field. Strength of field 718. That's another thing that you can put as a filter. I'm going to go ahead and remove the winning score. Let's get rid of that. And instead, for the strength of field down here, I'm going to put this 650 to 800. I like to have kind of I want it to be a narrow range, but like 650 is pretty good. We could even move it to 700 maybe. But the fact of the matter is the strength of field this week is 718. So I don't want to get too close to 718. I kind of want to I want 718 to be my middle point, and then have my my poles basically equal distance from that 718 number. So that's kind of what I did with 650 and 800. It's not a perfect science, but now under this signature event, strength of field, now you can see who the best golfers are in the field. Scotty, Tommy, Russell Henley. There's Kurt Kitayama again, Morikawa, Cantlay, Straka, Bhatia, Harry Hall. We see him up there yet again. So those are some interesting names to keep in mind. Again, I haven't heard many people talk about Kurt Kitayama. I haven't really heard many people talk about Harry Hall. So golfers that are interesting to play. Okay. So that was the tournament information. Again, come to SweetSpotDFS.com, go under tournament stats, and you'll find this page here. Just make sure you put in the RBC Heritage for your tournament, and then you get a whole plethora of data. If you just wanted to type in 2026, 2025, 2024, these are your signature event years. So now you'll get a little bit better of a summary that you can use to use for your data points for researching, because that's the whole purpose of this segment. When it comes to the golf course, you can find this tool under golf course stats. Just make sure that the RBC Heritage is in here. If it isn't already, most of the time I do. I put that in there before I go live, or at the beginning of the week. And I also select the golf course that it applies to. Harbortown Golf Links this week. Right down below, you can get like a little summary. This is your scorecard that has the average distances for all 4 rounds that the PGA Tour will be playing from. You can see the par, all that good stuff, and any shot shape that might matter. Now there is a summary up here that applies shot shapes. You know, if there's a collective that you need to be cognizant of, it will have it right here. You don't have to follow this. This is just, you know, what the preferred shot shapes. Now, looking at RBC Heritage, it shows that there aren't many shot shapes you have to really be concerned about. A large reason of that, a large reason is because I'm sure you've heard throughout the industry, this is kind of a less than driver type of golf course. That's not completely true. There are plenty of times you can hit driver, but this is a very strategic golf course, which allows you to not always hit driver. You know, even when there are times where you could, you don't have to. So it's very difficult to understand what the game plans are for each of these golfers. If I knew people were trying to hit 330-yard, you know, drives, these shot shapes, at least off the tee, would probably matter just a little bit more. But I don't see that. So there's a lot of golfers that are, I think hole number 2 is a par 5. Some people hit fairway wood off of this, because they want to give themselves, you know, the most. I think there's a couple trees that come in from the right that are blocking the green. So you kind of want to be far enough back or to the left of it. So then you will have a better angle into the green, or at least a better way of shaping a shot into the green. Whereas if you hit driver and you block yourself off to the right, or it also doglegs right. So it's very difficult, unless you hit an absolutely perfect tee shot, to be at the right position. So a lot of people hit fairway woods off of hole 2. If that's the case, it's hard to say, oh, hey, one shot shape matters than another. So yeah, there probably are more shots to consider, but because we don't know the majority of the game plans that these golfers are going to deploy, it's hard to really come up with what, you know, it's hard to map up the golf course as to what shot shapes matter. So not many here at this golf course. One big note. This is a Pete Dye golf course. So you can see under architect, Pete Dye. Why does that matter? Pete Dye creates golf courses that are kind of a visual, I don't know, he plays with your mind. Let's put it that way. He plays with your mind using railroad ties, putting tee boxes, or setting up tee boxes to point down a particular side of the golf course when the hole actually goes off to the opposite side. So he tries to manipulate your mind. There's a part of this that requires some knowledge of Pete Dye golf courses, or just architecture. When it comes, you don't even need to know architecture. Why I said that word is because these golfers need to be playing on Pete Dye golf courses to just be comfortable. You know, sometimes your eyes will play tricks on your mind, and as long as you're cognizant of that when you're playing this golf course, which most of these pros will be, by the way, most of these pros will be, but as long as you're cognizant of it, you should be able to play it just fine. So the first thing I'm going to say is, if you use the cheat sheet that's available to you through Google Sheets, and the way to get to there is under Fantasy Tools, go to cheat sheet and scroll down. Scroll down until you find this cheat sheet right here. Click on that. This is going to open up a Google Sheet for you guys to take a look at. It has the bucket system in here as well as the dream sheet. And I forgot to update it, but this is Pete Dye information right here. This isn't Bentgrass. I forgot to change the name, but this is Pete Dye. Pete Dye results. We're looking at their average finishing position on Pete Dye golf courses, their top 10 rate, as well as their average finishing positions for the last year. You can see how many Pete Dye events these golfers have played in. So that kind of can play a factor into this. You can use this to your advantage. Now at SweetSpotDFS.com, again, if you, let's go ahead and clear out these filters that we currently had put in. It was strength of field as well as field size. Let's get rid of that. And under course stats, I have a little architect drop down. So you can go ahead and put Pete Dye in there and watch what will happen. So this will all get updated. And in fact, let's move this out let's look at 2 years of data just to get a better sense of golfers and their overall performances on Pete Dye golf courses. Plus, I want to see something between 24 to 32 rounds for most of these golfers, and here we have it. Scotty Scheffler is your best golfer in the field on Pete Dye golf courses, followed by Austin Smotherman. That's 8 events. 8 events. Just throwing that out there. If I put in 2025, you can see his 8 events still stay there. So he's only played, looks like 2 tournaments. And if we drill down on Austin Smotherman's name, it was this year's Players where he finished 13th, and as well as this year's American Express where he finished 8th, almost in the same price tag. Woo! Austin Smotherman looks like a name that we can play, especially with our Scotty lineups. But let's go back to 2024, looking at the last 2 years. You've got Scheffler, Smotherman, JT, Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, Tommy Fleetwood, Sudarshan Yelamaraju. He missed the cut at the American Express. Remember, that's a 3-round cut. So that's why he has 7 rounds of data to his name, but he finished 5th at the Players, so Sudarshan's actually a pretty good choice too. You have Russell Henley, JJ Spawn, Ryan Fox, Sepp Straka. These are your top 10 golfers at Pete Dye golf courses this year, or not this year, the last 2 years. So again, there are certain things, and anytime you see the little filter buttons over here, you can filter out by that exact same the exact same filters that I just provided. So we can go by Pete Dye. We can go ahead and filter out by Pete Dye. Going back to the golf course, it is overseeded this week. We have perennial ryegrass all over the place, much like the Masters, but we have POA greens, and I've never known what to do at this golf course using POA, because I have notes that say this POA acts a lot like bent grass, but of course, if it is just POA, it can obviously have the characteristics of normal POA, which is that bumpy surface when it comes to putting on greens. These green, like the average green size here is pretty small. So I don't know if it's very difficult to really care about POA on these types of on these types of greens. Like I want to think that it's going to matter. The only thing that I would say is I like putters that are aggressive on POA because you can hit through those little bumps. But Patrick Cantlay, I think, is one of the best putters on POA, and he's not an aggressive putter. So it really just comes down to, I think it really comes down to luck for most of the time. But sometimes, you know, if you think about like Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, they've always been good on POA, and they're very aggressive putters. They hit the ball pretty hard. You know, they'll have a 4-foot putt. If they miss the hole, they'd have a 4-foot putt coming back. That's how hard they hit it through POA. Unfortunately, we don't have data that's going to support this. We're not going to see this on any of these golfers that have good putting stats. The only thing that you could do is, again, let's use SweetSpotDFS.com. I mean, if you got other websites, go for it. Go use it. That's fine. But under grass stats, I would go ahead and put, for greens grass, you get these little summaries here, just go ahead and put POA. And then we can see the golfers and how they perform on POA. Let's just only use 1 year's worth of data instead of 2, because I did have 2 before. And we can see that, obviously, Scotty Scheffler above and beyond everybody else. Number 1 when it comes to putting on POA or just playing on POA. I don't care that much about just looking at putting stats on POA. If you want to put it in your models that way, that works. You know, that makes a lot of sense. But when it comes to just performances at POA tracks, it's not just putting that's going to matter. It's going to be chipping. It's going to be everything. So here you go. You got Scheffler, Knapp, Fleetwood. So Fleetwood has shown up under all the filters that we've applied. So too has Scotty. This is the first time seeing Jake Knapp. We have seen Nikolai. He had in some of the other filters that we applied, he only had like 4 rounds of golf, but he still had a good, you know, overall performance. I don't really remember seeing Matt Fitzpatrick up there, nor do I remember seeing Andrew Putnam, you know, in the other filters that we provided. But Russell Henley shows up yet again. First time seeing Chris Goddard up. I think we saw Maverick McNeely one other time before, and the first time seeing Sam Burns. So, you know, we're getting different golfers that you can consider in your lineups this week. So I don't really have anything else to go with golf course stats. those are the main things that I really look at or that I really care about, especially this week. And I think the best way to use it is kind of going to the strokes gain stats tool again at SweetSpotDFS.com and just checking out up in this little summary box that these are the golfers in the field this week. What have they done? And if you want to drill down into their names, you can see where their performances are. I mean, Jake Knapp has a ton of top fives with some missed cuts. Looks pretty good for Jake Knapp. Again, we're looking at POA greens. That's what this filter that we applied here was, POA greens. So yeah, that's it for golf course and tournament information. I saw the chat going down like crazy, so I got some making up to do. Holy Cody, Corey, Pam. The M is silent. It's PAMN, but the M is silent. Shouldn't do drugs, says AJ. Joking. I know. Personally feel like crap today. I had to cancel my show at the retirement center. Oh, that stinks. Sorry to hear about that, man. Headaches are the worst. Yeah, tell me about it. Wish the Masters was no cut. I still don't think I would have done well enough to play to, you know, win my money back. Let's not forget Matthew Fitz vacations there as a kid, and his head cover is the lighthouse here. Okay. I got Fitz in my lineup, says AJ. Good evening, Denny. Nice to see you. Good plays in the 6K this week. We just saw a couple good plays. Am I right? Logan says, I'm late. I'm late for the for an impromptu date. I'm late for an impromptu. Oh, well, I didn't post out anything except for like 15 minutes before going live. I like Noren this week. Okay. Sung JM, Castillo and Putnam. We just saw Putnam. I don't know about Castillo. We'll have to look into that. Friesen, what's going on, man? Nice to see you. No cut changes my approach. I didn't realize it was a no cut. There we go, man. That's the purpose of going through the tournament information. I will play and Austin in my lineups. Did you mean to say all Austin? Austin Smotherman? No cut. AJ, it does change a lot indeed. It's WrestleMania weekend. I'm so pumped. You know what? For that, you get one of these. Oh boy. Do we see an appearance from The Undertaker? The old Pete Guy golf course. Is this a Bombers course? No, it is not. But I was mentioning how you look at the lead-in data and you look at strokes gain off the tee, you're going to find more success, at least strokes gain last year, finding golfers to put in your lineups. Like I did this in a different video that I have not yet posted, so I know how this works. But you're going to find more success looking at off the tee heading into this event than you are on using approach. Throwing that out there, it doesn't make any sense because obviously this is when you're at this golf course, it doesn't really lend itself to, you know, bomber types. However, if y'all remember, speed is king. And even if you aren't hitting your driver off of the tee box, your irons into the greens are going to be shorter than golfers that don't share the same distance as you. But yeah, I went through. There's a video again that I've not yet posted. And I went through and I counted all of I looked at the top 30 of the best off the tee golfers heading into this event, as well as the best 30 approach players heading into this event. And I counted how many golfers finished inside the top 10 for each of those stat categories. And the off the tee beat out the approach, and not just those that shared approach and off the tee, but I mean, if you excluded those, there were more off the tee than approach. It was like a count of 23 to, I want to say 15. Like there were 8 more golfers that were better off the tee than approach, or that they were in the top 30 of off the tee heading into this event. Whereas the top 30 of approach, there was only 15 of them. I hope that makes sense. But a lot of people, the most predictive stat at this golf course is approach. Well, if we're looking at the results of the event, which this tool does not look at the result like the strokes gain stats or anything. These are all lead-in stats right here. The only results you see are DraftKings points and finish. Those are the only results that you're going to get for each of these golfers. The rest of the stats are their lead-in data. So this is where you can do your one-for-ones. You know, you can look at the golfers leading into this event and what their stat profiles look like and compare it to each of the years prior to. It's really, honestly, the only one-for-one you have in the industry. I have not heard anybody else. I've not seen anybody else ever do the one-for-one analysis of lead-in data at past RBC Heritage or Heritages and looking at that, or looking at the lead-in data for this week's event. I don't really care what happened performance-wise at each RBC Heritage. I know approach is going to matter, but to do that comparison of a performance that happened at the RBC Heritage and then use all that data for every RBC Heritage and then try to compare it to the golfers coming into the field doesn't make any sense. I understand why it might make sense to some people, but it's not a good one-for-one. This is a unique golf course. It's a unique tournament. You can't do that lead-in data. You can't look at someone's lead-in data and compare it to past performances at the RBC Heritage, unless you're looking at the lead-in data. Okay, that's me. This is the perfect tournament for me to tout my process when it comes to lead-in analysis, because you will get lost in the sauce if you try to follow anybody else. It's very elementary analysis. So Retail Ripper, what's going on, man? I love Lamp, he says. Love it. I think the optimal is a balanced build. What do you think? We will get into that in this next little segment here. I don't care what anyone says, but I'm all in on Scotty. Joanne just said she's all in on Scotty. Let's see, hold on. The PGA golf course. Tee to green, says Joanne. I would think Harmon would do well here. He does look good. Small greens, then approach will matter. East POA is not the same as West Coast POA. No, but Northeast POA is very similar to West Coast POA. I trust the process. I would like to touch POA. It sounds so scary. It's not. It's not. It's just very inconsistent. All right, we're moving on. We're moving on to pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. I like to start here, as always, with the historic salary builds. We can go ahead and right away put in the RBC Heritage just to see what kind of lineup builds have been the most successful here. This is looking at 3 different types of lineup builds: the GPP winner, the optimal lineup, as well as the SweetSpot optimal. The only thing you need to know about the SweetSpot optimal, if you're new to the channel, is that it is the best lineup that uses $49,600 of the salary and up. If the optimal lineup is $49,600 of the salary and up, I will look at the second best lineup. So throwing that out there. SweetSpot optimal is just to give you a better idea of how to build smarter lineups, basically. So if the optimal lineup, again, a lot of times optimal lineup leaves a lot of money on the table. So to what everybody's speaking about, the balanced build is the most common lineup build at the RBC Heritage. We can drill down into this and see what year it was. Well, that's just 2020. So 1 year. 1 year it was a 9-8-8-8-8-7. Just 1 year. It's very important to drill into these lineups and see where they're applied, because it looks like every year might just have the same lineup, quote unquote, build. 10-10-8-7-7-6. Oh, by the way, what we could also do is just look at 2025 and 2024, just to get an idea of, you know, when this became a signature event, what really mattered at this event. And you can see every lineup starts with a 10K golfer. Every one of them. The last 2 years, 10K golfer. And then there was a mix of 8Ks and 9Ks and even another 10K. So it's all over the place. So just putting in 2025, 2024, you can see the lineups that were applied to each of the years. So last year, the SweetSpot Optimal had that 10-10-8-7-6-6. The GPP winner had a 10, 3/8, a 7, and a 6. And then the optimal lineup left $2,500 on the table, and that was a 10, 2 8s, a 7, and 2 6s. That's hard to get to, right? I always advocate not trying to leave a lot of money on the table because it's very difficult to build the proper lineups that way. In 2024, it was a 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, 10, 8, 3 7s and a 6, a 10, 9, 2 7s, and 2 6s. Another way we can look at these pass optimal and GPP winning lineups is from this tool called the pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. Type in RBC Heritage under the select tournament. We'll select the year and just take a look for whatever lineup we want it to point at. So in 2025, our GPP winning lineup was Justin Thomas, Sung J M, Wyndham Clark, Danny Berger, JT Poston, and Mackenzie Hughes. Mackenzie Hughes being $6,600. Otherwise, yeah, it was a 10, 87, 84, 83, 78, and then 6,600. Those were the salaries. For those just listening, I'm sorry. Those were the salaries of each of those golfers. If we want to take a look at the SweetSpot Optimal that had two 10K golfers, here were your two 10K golfers. It was Xander in 18th place. Then it was JT, Berger, Harmon, Novak, and Hughes. This lineup scored 641. Your GPP winning lineup scored 606. So in case you're like, whoa, Xander in 18th place, that seems pretty crazy that would take down a GPP, but last year it did. And then you can look at your optimal lineup that left $2,500 on the table. It still started with Justin Thomas. And then we had Danny Berger, Mav McNeely, Brian Harmon, Novak, and Mackenzie Hughes. So those people that like Brian Harmon, hey man, he was in some of those lineups last year. The year Scotty Scheffler won, he won at $13,300. Your GPP winning lineup had Scotty Scheffler in it. And it went 13-3 to 84, 76, 73, 72, 62. 62. Hey, we were just talking about, or at least I think Joanne mentioned, a lot of good value down the 6K range. Who's that one golfer we were looking at that seemed to have had some good data applied to his name? Austin Smotherman. So if we start Austin Smotherman at 6,300 and we have Scotty at 13.5, we could try to build a lineup that looks just like this. JT, $8,400, finished 5th. Can we find? Look at that. JT's $8,300. Now let's be real here. We don't want to think that the same golfers, in the same lineups, but JT's a great value. Great value. I like Bridgman a little bit more, but I think everybody else is going to like Bridgman a little more. I think what I have to do in order to make these lineups work out, especially following the SweetSpot process, is I'm going to have to grab somebody from the group numbers here, from the Marquee Tee Times. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Justin Thomas. Goddard up and Day could be good ones. Ben Griffin, he probably will be chosen anyways, just because he seems like a pretty good value. But let's go ahead and put in Justin Thomas. And I really want to put Bridgman in with this lineup. If I put Bridgman in, I imagine it's going to have to select Ben Griffin, just again for the Marquee Tee Times. Let's do something like this. So I got 3 golfers locked in. I've got Scheffler. Actually, here, hold on. Let me kick out JT. JT is a great choice. I'm going to make sure that the optimizer selects one 8K golfer. That's how we can do it right here. And so again, I just want to see a Scheffler lineup with a low 6K golfer. Ryan Fox even shows up here. It goes Scheffler, Hovland, Batia, Gerard, Smotherman, and Ryan Fox. Ryan Fox was in the top 10 of golfers for performances under the filters that we applied. You remember going over the golf course and tournament information? We saw Ryan Fox a couple times, but let's kick Ryan Fox out there and let's see what else we get. We get a Bud Cauley lineup to go with Mav McNeely. Like I said, Ben Griffin was going to show up. I kind of knew that was going to happen. Ryan Gerard's up there. Those are all really good lineups. Best lineup yet, in my opinion. Ben Griffin might be one of those iffies, I don't know. I don't know if I really want to play Ben Griffin, but this one is fine. McNeely, Connors, Bradley, Smotherman. Want to hear some crazy? Keegan Bradley had 3 birdie streaks last week at the Masters. He's the only golfer in the field that had 3 birdie streaks. So when we're looking at DraftKings lineups, Keegan being a good scorer, at least last week, could he move that towards, because he didn't really have a super great finish, but DraftKings wise, you know, maybe the guy is a little hotter than we might even consider or anticipate. But I'm going to kick out Ben Griffin. Oh my God. Look at this lineup. Scheffler, Spieth, Gerard, Connors, Bradley, Smotherman. Sign me the hell up. That lineup is so good. Let's save this off to the side. I love that lineup. Oh my goodness. That was a sexy lineup. So anyways, that is just following this lineup construction right here. Yeah, we did have 2 6K golfers in there. That's fine because, you know, salaries do kind of fluctuate every single year. We're looking at quality of golfers, right? Patrick Rodgers, we wouldn't really consider a quality golfer. For his price tag, yes. Same thing applies for Smotherman. Sepp Straka at 7,200, yeah, pretty good. Keegan Bradley, this is our Keegan Bradley golfer right there. Who was our $7,400? 7,000's Corey Connors. Sung Jae and Corey Connors, do they have something similar? Yes, they do. JT Poston at $7,600. Can I interest you in Ryan Gerard? Do we see that kind of comparison? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe Gerard could get replaced, but still not terrible. And then Justin Thomas at 8,400. Let me introduce you Jordan Spieth in this $13,000 lineup. It sounds pretty good, right? Sounds pretty good. That's just one comparison. One's, you know, trying to use 2024's lineup, the GPP winning lineup, and trying to build a lineup for this week. Yeah, it might be fool's gold. Let's just be real with it. It might be fool's gold, but it gives you kind of an idea of how to build some of these lineups. Optimal lineup only left $400 on the table. That also, well, this one was actually a 13-3 into a 9,200 into 76, 72, 62, 61. So there we go. We got, I mean, we didn't go into the 9K range, but hey, is there even a possibility to, oh boy, is there even a possibility to do that? Can we do something like that? Can we go here, force it to select a 9K golfer instead of an 8K golfer? Now I'm going to go ahead. Let's go. Let's put in Hoagie. I kind of like Hoagie. Actually, I don't mind any of these guys. Let's actually just leave it open. Let's leave it open. So a 10-9, I'm only allowing 2 6K golfers. So let's see. Do we break it or can we build a lineup? We can certainly build a lineup. This would make our friend Shot Like Harden very happy. It is a Scheffler Burns lineup. And then it has Gerard, Thorbjornsen, Colley, and Fox. Not terrible. I'm going to kick out Gerard just for the sake of it. He's a very good value, but let's just pretend, you know, last week burned him out a little bit. There's Brian Harman for those that want to play Brian Harman. This one has Keegan and Fox. So there's a lot of flexibility, guys. Lots of flexibility. You could even play up to Henley. I don't know if I care for 2 7K golfers, but there's a Finau lineup in there with a Smotherman. For those that will like Norin, there you go, guys. You got a Norin and a Harman lineup. I don't know if both of you guys were kind of bringing that up, but this is with a Russell Henley lineup. What if I wanted Jake Knapp? We don't break anything. And we get that same lineup, but we got to move around some of these other golfers. So there is a lot of flexibility. Oh my God, 13.5 makes Scotty Scheffler lineup so much more palatable than when he was $14,000. That's just so helpful to have that $500 relief. Oof. Joanne, I think I'm right there with you. Interestingly enough, the SweetSpot Optimal in 2024 did not have Scotty Scheffler being $13,000. Instead, it had your prototypical 10.98, 7.76 approach with Patrick Rodgers at 6,200. So just to kind of throw that up on the, let's go ahead and do 10.98. Let's do a 10.98, 7. And I imagine it's going to choose, actually, no, let's make sure it chooses 6K. Here we go. Let's take a look. What can we get? What would be the best 10.98, 7.76? This looks pretty good. Fleetwood, Cam Young, McNeely, Gerard, Thorbjornsen, and Keegan Bradley. I actually want to just lock in Smotherman feel like this is our Patrick Rogers from 2 years ago. But here we go. It's Fleetwood into Cam Young, then Victor Hovland, Ben Griffin, Gerard, Smotherman. Love it. Let's kick out Gerard again. The optimizers is going to love Gerard. And now we get a Matt Fitzpatrick, Cam Young, Goddard, Sepp Straka, Hisatsune, and Smotherman. This feels like a Ryan Henson special. This is such a really good lineup. Really good lineup. This has Matt Fitzpatrick in there for you. I don't know who else you really cared about, but this one feels pretty good. This one feels good. So anyways, again, that's just using the tools at SweetSpotDFS.com, past optimal and GPP lineups, as well as historic salary builds. Now, I will say this. We can clear out all of this, and we can apply those same filters that I showed you guys before. You know, like 60 for the field size, if we choose 60 to 100. And then winning score, we can change this from minus 35 to minus 20, and then minus 15 can be the low end of that. And just take a look as to what the most common salary build is. 10-9-8-7-7-6. And you can see all of the events down here. Bay Current, St. Jude, we have Olympic. Look at that. RBC Heritage is there. Pretty limited. So it's like the same tournaments, but we did see RBC Heritage in there once. For 10-9-8-7-7-6. How about 10-8-8-7-7-6? Yeah, we get some older tournaments, so maybe it doesn't really apply. 10-9-8-7-6-6. Okay, we get a few more. I've heard a lot of talk about how this reminds them of the Truist last year. At least golfers in that leaderboard are very similar to golfers in this leaderboard. I think what you could do... Actually, we'll just put in the tournament here. Bay Current. No, not Bay Current, Truist. So put in the Truist Championship. And we can kind of see 10-9-8-8-6-6, 10-8-8-8-7-6. Maybe it would be best to look at this tool here. And instead of the RBC Heritage, we go ahead and put in the Truist. No results found because it was under 2024. So when we look at the GPP winning lineup here, JT at 10,000, Hideki at 89, Sepp Straka 87, Shane Lowry at 85, Mitchell at 74, and Bridgman at 64. Listen, if you want to build that balanced lineup, you certainly could do it this way. Instead of a 10-9-8, we can just go 10-8. Maybe let's put in those 3 AKs. Actually, I'll keep this as 1. And this is fine. This is going to be like a... I'm going to keep Smotherman here. I feel like Smotherman's kind of our Jacob Bridgman. And then I'm also going to kick out Ryan Gerard because I know the optimizer is going to try to play a Ryan Gerard lineup. So let's see. We get Matt Fitzpatrick, Siwoo, who plays well at Pete Dye golf courses, Hovland. We do get Bridgman in here, and then Ben Griffin. That's a solid lineup. Super solid. Take out... Ben Griffin, and now we get Fleetwood, McIntyre, Hovland, McNeely, Batia, and Smotherman. What a lineup. What a lineup. So there are several ways we can go about building lineups this week. Again, when I build lineups this way, it incorporates everything the SweetSpot process has, some of the things we haven't yet talked about. So keep that in mind. These lineups I'm building follow the SweetSpot process. If you want to go ahead and steal them and put them into your contest, go for it. Go for it. I think they're fantastic lineup. Okay. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to do the rest of your research on SweetSpotDFS.com for past optimal and GPP winning lineups. We're going to move on and get into the bucket system. Actually, but first, let's do a roll call. We'll do a roll call really quick. This is how you can get entries into any of the giveaways that I do. Roll call number 1. Let's see here. Some of you guys are probably on mobile, so I'll make the question easy. There you go. Who's your winner this week? AJ says Scotty. Cody says Russell. Frees him some Scotty. Love it. Sung J M. Except for you forgot the G, pal. Sun J. Joanne's going with Scotty. Joanne, that is music to my ears. What made you change your mind on Scotty? Ryan says Fitzpatrick. Lombardi, what's going on, Lombardi? Lombardi says Tommy Fleetwood. Mr. Marlowe says Russell Henley. Razor comes in and says the Chefinator. Oh my gosh. Or Shank. Do we really think Shank's going to win this? Is he even in the field? Shrimp, what's happening, man? Is Goddard up in the field? He is. He is. Hermit Money, what's up, man? Spieth, everybody is on him. Do we think Spieth is going to win this week? Joanne says the 6K players. So Joanne is more about the strategy of building lineups this week, more so than just her full belief on Scotty. Shrimp says, I got Goddard up then. I don't hate it, man. I don't hate it. Sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Did I miss anybody? Don't think so. Mr. Marlowe into Razor, Shrimp, and Hermit Money we got. I think we got everybody. Cool. 12 people chatting. Love it. Appreciate it, guys. Okay. We're going to get into the bucket system. Let's do the same thing we've always been, that we've been doing the last few weeks. We're going to go over each of the bucket projections and try to see if they make sense with this week's tournament. Let's go ahead and do that. Of course, that means getting into the bucket system. Now, you guys can follow along with me. Go to the cheat sheet. I had it up there at SweetSpotDFS.com. Link in the description. Go click on that. That will bring you to the homepage. Under Fantasy Tools, click Cheat Sheet, and then just scroll to the right until you come down here. You find this cheat sheet. Click here. This opens up a Google sheet for you guys, and you can find the bucket system on a tab down below on that Google sheet. Everything I'm going to do on my personal spreadsheet, you guys can do on this Google sheet. So you can follow along with me if you want. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to go stat by stat, bucket by bucket, try to figure out the projections I have. Are they good? Are they worth it? So I'm going to sort out, or filter out, I should say. We're going to go by stats from top to bottom. So we're going to look at the last year buckets first. And I'll zoom in for you guys just a little bit more. So we're going to look at the last year buckets. Bucket 1, golfers who finished inside the top 20. The projection that I have to finish inside the top 10 from this bucket, the golfers in this bucket, 2 to 6. 2 to 6. For people who are new, we always round down with the minimum projection, and we always round up the maximum, and we always want a 2-point buffer between the two. So I'm going to go back to the cheat sheet on SweetSpotDFS.com. Again, this is free for you guys. And under buckets, I'm just going to type in last year. I'm going to drill right into the last year one. The numbers should be the same. 22 golfers. 22 golfers. We can see who they are. Scotty Scheffler is the top price golfer here. We kind of already assume that. Here's what we do. Whenever Scheffler is in a bucket, we always drop the minimum down one. The reason we do this is he's likely to finish inside the top 10 like he was at the Masters last week, but not give you a lineup that you can actually win considerable amount of money. Can you win money with Scheffler in your lineups? Yes. And honestly, I mean, I kind of echo the same sentiment that everybody else in the chat has. I like Scotty a lot this week. So if this bucket was a 3 to 6 bucket, currently, oh, this is the other thing too. I will be making changes on the optimizer under the buckets if it makes sense to do so. So, you know, this projection again, 2 to 6. We've seen 1 to 3 in the optimal lineup every year, and we've seen 1 to 4 inside the top 5. Now, I actually have a really cool tool at SweetSpotDFS.com called the bucket system. And basically what we could do is drill down into this bucket, this last year one bucket, top one. If you just drill down into any of the, what am I trying to think of? Any of the columns for this row, it will still highlight it, but we can scroll down and we can see, first of all, there are segments to this tool, to this page. We have results with lead-in bucket stats, so you can see each of the golfers that represent this bucket and then what their finishing position was. If you just wanted to look at, say, top 10s, you would put in the filter over here, finishing position 1 to 10. And then again, if you want to just look at a particular year, you can go ahead and do that right here. And so last year, you can see we actually had 5 golfers inside the top 10, including Scotty Scheffler. And if you kind of cross-reference that with the pass optimal and GPP winning lineups, you'll see Scotty wasn't in those lineups for you to win money on. So, but you could build a lineup and see how close it could get to taking down a GPP. I have showcased that before, but here, let me do this really quick. I'm going to go ahead and put in the RBC Heritage, and we're going to go to last year. I'm not going to select any lineup, but let's go 2025. And here at the top, there's Scheffler right here. If I drill down into Scheffler's name, look at the summary data. That's kind of, it's just above this table. You see how my mouse is kind of highlighting this? If you just look a little bit above, you can see total salary, total points, total ownership. If I drill down into Scotty Scheffler, you can see 90.5 points gets put towards this lineup. And you can see the salary that also gets, you know, put towards it. Well, we can try to build a lineup that tries to take down a GPP. So this GPP, $50,000, scored 606 points. We unselect GPP and I select Scheffler. Let's try to build ourselves a Scotty Scheffler lineup that might work. It would probably include Novak. It would include Mackenzie Hughes, probably Brian Harman. This will give us our the best salary. I'm trying to think of a word, but forgiveness keeps getting put in my head. Salary relief. So here it shows I've got $16,000 left for 2 golfers. Well, I'm going to put Mav McNeely at $8,100 into my lineup, and let's put Siwoo Kim at $7,600. So I'm using $49,700 of the total salary. It scores 616 points, ladies and gentlemen. 616 points. What was that GPP winning score again? 606. So last year, you could build a Scotty Scheffler lineup that would have taken down a GPP, and it wouldn't have included Justin Thomas. It just required all those cheap golfers that kind of Joanne was pointing out about this year. You need some 6K golfers, some 7K golfers to make it work out. But the reason that I kind of first came to this page to show you how cool this is, you scroll all the way down to the bottom. Here are the bucket totals every single year for this last year one bucket. If you select any of these buttons on the left, it'll show you how many apply towards the 10, top 10, top 5, top 20, whatever button you want to select. Let's go ahead and put top 10. And you can drill in and out. So if there's no button selected, these are the totals. So We have 23 and 2025 total. How many golfers represented that bucket? Then it was 17, 17, 22, 13, 19, so on. If I drill into the top 10, let's look to see where our lowest numbers are. There's 2 in 2021, there's 2 in 2015 and 2014. We don't count 2013 because that's where my data begins. I wouldn't have had a last year stat recorded in 2013. So that starts in 2014. But 2 in 2021, why was that? Because we only had 13 golfers that were in that bucket. That makes sense, right? To have it such a low number. And then, of course, 2015 and 2014, those were actually pretty high numbers, and we didn't really get good results. So 2 and 2. So what do we do with this information? You know, it looks like 3s, 4s, and 5s are something to expect. If I were to go back into the cheat sheet with all the golfers that are in that bucket this year, do we think it's going to fail to produce at least 2 golfers? Probably not, especially with this being a, and that's the other thing that I failed to mention. This became a signature event in 2024. So 2024 and 2025, these are the only 2 years where it was a limited field event. Take that into consideration. Because if you look at the total amount of golfers, again, we can go to the tournament stats page, and instead of selecting only the years it was a signature event, you can see it had 142 golfers in the field in 2023, 131, 134, 151, 131, whatever. If we take the number 20, because we're only looking at top 20s, and we subtract that from any of these numbers, we still get a really large number, like 120 golfers, 111 golfers, a lot. That means, you know, volume-wise, there's still a pretty high probability that golfers from other buckets will finish inside the top 10. Well, when it becomes a signature event, you know, 80 golfers, 82 golfers in the field this week, you minus 20 from that, you get 62. Now, these are high-quality golfers in the field this week. It's a signature event. But the fact of the matter remains, 20 out of 80 is it's such a better fraction than 20 out of 140. You know, what do we get? We get 1 out of 4 versus 1 out of 7. I think that's what it ends up being, you know? Yeah. I think when we look at this bucket, 22 golfers in it, so there's actually more than 20, 22 golfers in it. Do we think more than 2 golfers are going to finish inside the top 10? Yes, I do. For sure. For sure. Now, here's where it comes down to. This is where the strategy comes into play. Many of us like Scottie Scheffler, so he's our one guy. You got to think about, okay, if you like Scottie Scheffler, where's your next golfer that you could realistically put in your lineups? Now, I was building lineups a little bit earlier with Pass Optimal and GPP winning lineups. Start with Scottie. We could go to Russell Henley. Right? We built some really good lineups with Scottie Scheffler and Russell Henley. Same thing is going to apply with Cantlay. Burns was the first 9K golfer that the optimizer was trying to build when we made it go 10-9 and have 2 6s in our lineup. So it did that. But if you look, we had built a really good lineup with Jordan Spieth that was somewhat balanced. I mean, somewhat, I'll put in quotations. There was some lineups that had Hovland in it. Same with McNeely. Really, it will come down to here. So those 6K golfers that Joanne was mentioning. Look, you guys have just been bringing up Sung Jae at 67 being criminal. He's in this bucket. If you want to build lineups with Scottie Scheffler and Sung Jae, there's your 2. Now, those are that's the high price guy and the low price guy. So when I look at this optimizer and the projection's already 2 to 6, I'm not changing that. Just because those 2 golfers alone, just doing it that way. Now, here's another thing to consider. Is it possible that Scheffler, Schauffele, Fleetwood, and maybe, no, let's just keep it Scheffler, Schauffele, and Fleetwood are the only 3 golfers to finish inside the top 10 from this bucket? Sure, it is. It's possible. The last 2 years, we've seen at least 4 golfers from this bucket inside the top 10. This is a pretty good bucket. It's got Jordan in it, got Justin Thomas in it. He's your defending champion. I really like Daniel Berger this week. I just don't see how you can't get enough cheap golfers to pair up with some of your expensive golfers to make this bucket change whatsoever. I would not change the projections of this bucket whatsoever. Okay. So that was kind of a deep dive just to show you how to analyze the bucket system if you guys are going to do it yourself. The rest of the buckets, except for last year 6, are 0 to 2. So we'll look at each of these buckets somewhat fast just to see, does that still remain true? So last year 2s, we have 7 total golfers. You got Matt Fitzpatrick, Ryan Gerard, Wyndham Clark, Billy Horschel, Finau, Colley, and Campbell. What's really interesting is we were getting a lot of Bud Colley lineups, Ryan Gerard lineups. We weren't really doing a lot of Matt Fitzpatrick because we were building a lot of Scotty lineups. And if it wasn't Scotty lineups, we were trying to build lineups around, like, say, Austin Smotherman, those really good low price 6K golfers, and just see what the optimizer would select. Now, I don't remember it selecting a lot of Fitzpatrick, but we did see at least one lineup that had Fitzpatrick in it. I have no issue playing Matt Fitzpatrick. He's your player's champion. Oh, no, sorry. No. Cam Young is. He's a Valspar champion. He was playing really good golf leading into the Masters, and had a good finish at the Masters. He finished 18th. I mean, he obviously could have done better, but that wasn't terrible. So yeah, when it comes to this bucket, could we play more than 2 golfers from it? Oh, yeah, I'm not feeling it. So let's move on. Moving on. Last year 3. This is a 0 to 2 bucket as well. Colin Morikawa was a question mark. We're going to go ahead and put that name as a question mark right away. Cam Young and Ludwig, I actually do like at this golf course. Those 2 alone are pretty good. Day, Batia, Spawn, Stevens, Nick Taylor, Corey Connors, Pendrith, McCarthy, Michael Kim, Patrick Rogers, and Carl Phillips. Shoot. Hey, by the way, Denny McCarthy reminds me of this. If you guys are watching this on replay, or if you guys can remember this later on, Denny McCarthy signed golf ball. After this video goes live, if you post in the chat or in the comments, not in this chat, don't post in this chat. Down in the comments below on replay, when this goes to replay, whoever puts in Denny McCarthy down there, if he wins any golf tournament and you have posted Denny McCarthy in the comments of my YouTube videos for that week's tournament, you're going to be in the running to win that Denny McCarthy signed golf ball. Just throwing that out there. Forgot to mention that earlier, but you can certainly win that Denny McCarthy golf ball. So post in the chat after this goes live. I shouldn't even say after this goes live. Once this goes to replay. There you go. Once this goes to replay. Listen, I actually really like this bucket. The thing is, if we're not building Scotty lineups, if we're not building Matt Fitzpatrick lineups, are we really grabbing multiple golfers from this bucket? There is a conversation to be had that, you know, these cheap golfers down here actually would be pretty good plays. I'm very torn on this. If you get the optimizer from me and you want to change this last year 3 bucket to a 0 to 3, you have my blessing. Go for it. I got no issue if you want to change this to 0 to 3 because the golfers in this bucket seem pretty good. I'm just not going to. Let's just put it that way. I'm just not going to. I'm going to keep it 0 to 2. Last year 4s. Golfers who kind of had a really bad finish here. This projection is going to be 0 to 2, and I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm going to keep it 0 to 2. So you're not going to... Oh, my God. Jacob Bridgman. He's a better golfer than that 61. I thought he... Was he not in a GPP winning lineup that we had for one of the years? I'm gonna have to rewatch this video. I don't remember what we were looking at. Maybe it was a different... Oh, it was the Philly Cricket Club, the Truist Championship. He was one of the guys in the GPP winning lineup, and that's kind of a comp course to this tournament. So yeah, you know what? Having just 2 of these guys, I think helps you. Again, we are trying to limit ourselves to bad plays. There are a lot of good names here, good golfers to consider, but I'll keep this a 0 to 2 bucket as well. And then last year's 6s are this is the last bucket to look at. And this is a 1 to 3 bucket. It's got Knapp, it's got Goddard, so we have Shrimp's golfer in here. $8,100. Now, if you're building a Scotty lineup, he's going to probably be your most expensive golfer after him. And then, you know, the optimizers are just going to have to create lineups using a lot of those cheap golfers in those other buckets we just discussed. But we also talked about how some of those guys are good anyways. This bucket, a 1 to 3 seems fine. Kind of want to do a little bit more research on this bucket. So I'm going to go to the bucket system on the website, SweetSpotDFS.com, link in the description. Let's drill down on last year's 6s. So it's got an 8% success rate. That means of all golfers to ever be in this bucket, 8% of them have finished inside the top 10. 0 to 3 inside the top 5, 0 to 3 in the optimal lineup. 43 total golfers inside the top 10. Okay. So here's what I like to do, like kind of what we just did with the previous buckets. We get our totals here. Now, these totals are going to be really different past 2024 because in 2024, this became a signature event. So how many golfers do we have total in this bucket? 29. Okay, so we have 29 total golfers in this bucket. Last year, we had 24. The year before that was 15. And then it jumps up super high. So in 2025, 2024, geez, I already forgot. So 29 golfers. So we actually have more than in 2025. If we drill down on top 10s, we only have 3 in 2025. Only had 1 in 2024. Oh boy. Could it be a 1 to 4 bucket? So last year, here are the golfers in that bucket. $6,700, Andrew Novak. $8,300, Danny Berger. $8,100, Matt McNeely. Those 2 golfers had course history. Andrew Novak did not. And that's another thing we can look at. Even in 2024, who was our guy? It was Ludwig. He didn't have course history, but he was 10,400. It looks like a lot of the cheap golfers are the ones. I mean, Cam Young, I would say, is kind of like a Chris Goddard up for this year for 3rd place. Okay. Yeah. So we would want course history, it looks like. Just 1 debutant and mostly course history. So go back to the cheat sheet. So we do have course history in Jake Knapp. We do not with Chris Goddard. We do with Ben Griffin. And then we got a bunch of golfers here that do not. Our boy Austin Smotherman also has course history, by the way. Here's what I will say. I do not enjoy pairing up golfers, especially with the pink numbers that you see on the screen. That 60 to 80 range never really shows up inside the top 10. At most, I'm playing 2 golfers from that type of bucket. So if I do like Austin Smotherman, I'm most likely not pairing him up with an Andrew Putnam or even a Jake Knapp. I might do it in 1 or 2 lineups, but I'm really trying to avoid creating, you know, bad lineups with those golfers in it, with those types of stats heading into this event. So, I mean, Sudarshan's great. Michael Thorbjornson's great. It's a good bucket. Here's what I will say. You know what? No. Let's change it 1 to 4. I'm bumping up the max. We're bumping up the max to 4. It's a really good bucket. Let's go ahead and bump the max up to 4. So that's essentially it when it comes to kind of going through each of these buckets, but let's move forward. I want to look at last year ones. 14 total golfers in this bucket. Again, Scotty's in it, but you have to make that argument. Can you pair up Scotty with anybody else to make this a bucket that's worth the projection it's worth? I not even go through the projection. I already know what it is, but here it is. 2 to 5. 2 to 5. There's actually an argument to drop this less than 2 and make it a 1. if we go into the bucket system and we take a look at the last week ones, we haven't had one inside the top 10 every single year, but 83% of the time we have, which is really interesting. Is that the same as my spreadsheet? Oh, it is. Okay. All right. So we have 14. If I scroll down on, oh, not this page, not this page, this page. We scroll down. Again, you could go through each of the years and look at the golfers or whatever if you wanted to. But when I come down here, these are golfers who top 20 at the Masters. This was a big conversation piece in a lot of podcasts this week. The exhaustion that comes with playing the Masters and then coming over here. So if you played well at the Masters, you were in contention. Could you play well this week at the RBC Heritage? Here's a perfect tool to show you that. Honestly, perfect tool to show you that. So looking at last week ones, scrolling down, remember this has top 10 positions, but if I move it to top 12s, there you go. You had Sung Jae who finished 11. So 2 golfers. But if I scroll down, we can see 12 golfers from the Masters from the week before in 2025 were in this bucket. Or I should just say, these are the total amount of golfers that came from the Masters from the top 20. So top 20 at the Masters, we had 12 total in 2025, 16 total in 2024. And you can see the rest of it. Again, signature events started 2024, 2025. So if I put top 10 counts in on this, we do have 1 in 2025 and we had 5 in 2024. There were 16 golfers in that bucket in 2024. 5. Where we get zeros are in 2017 and 2016 when this was not a signature event. And here's the beautiful thing about this too is, okay, so, well, there are only 4 golfers in the field that were in this bucket in 2017 and only 6 in 2016. But what you could do is we could look at those years. Do I have something drilled down? So we could look at, say, 2017. Matt Kuchar was your only guy, but if we clear this all out, we can see the 4 golfers that played the Masters the week before that were inside the top 20 that played the RBC Heritage. And you can just look at name value. You know, Kuchar was a good value back then. So too was Russell Henley. Heimer probably not, and definitely not Pat Perez. So you can kind of ignore 2017, but if we looked at 2016, Jason Day, Billy Horschel, Paul Casey, you know, yeah, they're just not the same name values. We look at 2024, here are all of the golfers coming from the Masters that finished inside the top 20. So you had Scotty that won it. Ludwig had came in second. I think he backdoored his way up to second, right? He wasn't really in contention, but he did finish 10th. Third place, Colin Morikawa, finished 9th. We also have a third place down here. Tommy Fleetwood finished 49th. Third place, Max Homa, 55th. I mean, I don't include Max Homa in the elite company of the other golfers I just said. Cam Young finished, he had finished 9th the week before at the Masters and finished 62nd. This isn't the same Cam Young that just came out, you know, that won the Wyndham and then went on to the Ryder Cup, played well there, came and won the Players Championship. Last year, he was not the same golfer, or 2 years ago, he was not the same golfer, not even close, than he is this year. So anyways, what I'm getting at is really some of these golfers that contended at the Masters in 2024 doesn't really look like it slowed that many good golfers down. Fleetwood, yes, we include Fleetwood in that whole thing. Xander, sure, 18th is still pretty good, but the rest of these guys, Morikawa, Oberg, Scheffler, that was only 2024. But if we look at 2025 and we look at the golfers that, you know, finished top 20 from the week before, Justin Rose, old man balls, sure, that makes sense. He got tired, poured his heart into trying to win the Masters. He was in a playoff, sure. I'm not gonna that makes sense to not play him at this golf course. 8th place, Corey Connors. 8th place, Jason Day. 7th place, Ludwig. You know, I think Ludwig had been playing, somewhat terrible. Yeah, 49.75 was his recent form. Again, another reason that I like the tools here at SweetSpotDFS.com. It shows you their lead-in data. Ludwig's recent form was awful. all year until he played the Masters and finished 7th. Okay, cool. 49.75 was his average finishing position the 7 weeks leading into the RBC Heritage. Not good, Bob. Not good. Don't know what happened to Collin Morikawa. So this one we could consider, yeah, that's a good golfer who played poorly, being in contention. Sure. Rose, yeah, that absolutely yes, that works out. Spieth, I mean, is 18th really that bad of a finishing position? I guess so. Was he really in contention last week or last year at the Masters? Not really. So wouldn't really consider him. Same thing applies with Xander. He also finished 18th though. I know I'm kind of cherry picking this, but none of these guys are really that good. You know, like I'm trying to be objective here, or well, I mean, I'm being subjective, but if I'm trying to be as objective as possible, I can poke holes in each one of these golfers' games and tell you like, well, yeah, I can see why they wouldn't play well here at the RBC Heritage. It has nothing to do with the fact that they were in contention at the Masters. So I guess with all that being said, golfers this week, look, there's Xander again. So the last 2 years, he was also in this bucket heading into this tournament, having a top 20 and a top 20 both years. I already forgot. So yeah, 2025, yes. Oh, 18th both years. Wow, he finished 18th. Okay, well, pencil Xander Schauffele into an 18th place finish. But here's what I'll say. This year's Xander Schauffele is different than last year's Xander Schauffele. Put it that way. And we have 14 total golfers, whereas, again, I kind of forgot my numbers. 12 and then 16. So we're right in the middle of the total number of golfers that came into this field, having a top 20 for the Masters the week before. Yeah. I'd see up to 2 golfers, being inside the top 10. I don't think it's a 2 to 5 bucket. Not with how expensive these golfers are. So we have to make an argument for 5 because here's the thing. The projection might be right. 5 golfers might finish inside the top 10, but you can't put 5 golfers on this screen in a lineup together unless it's Spieth, Hovland, McNeely, Day, and Homa, the cheapest price golfers. Maybe you could even put Sam Burns in there. Maybe you could go Burns, Spieth, Hovland, McNeely, Day, and then fill it out with 7K golfers. That could probably work out. But you're probably not able to even put 5 of these guys in a lineup together. I think we got to drop this down by 1 on both sides. I think this is a 1 to 4 bucket. You know what I will do? I'll keep it a 1 to 5 bucket, but this does have to go down. Last week 1 has to go down primarily for the price tags that are within that bucket. This is just one of those, hey, what I'm looking at is like impossible. We cannot put 2 golfers or more. Like we certainly can't put up to 5 golfers in a lineup. Now I'm keeping that max the same. But even if we put 1 in and say it's Scotty, Scotty's our guy. Even if 3 guys from up here finish inside the top 10, but only Scotty's the one worth playing, that means that's it. It's just him. The bucket still succeeds with its projection because more than 2 golfers finish inside the top 10. But when it comes to building DraftKings lineups, you got to keep in mind price. And this obviously means that if it is Scotty, even if it's Xander and Fitzpatrick, those are the 2 guys that could get you a GPP winning lineup. That means you really can't play the rest of the guys down here. So keep that all in mind when you're building lineups. Okay, moving on. Moving on to last week 2s. Now this bucket shows us 1 to 3, but it's a possibility of 1 to 4. So let's see. Can we make a 1 to 4? Can we make it that alteration? 16 golfers in that bucket this year. I guess if I go into this bucket system and take a look. We had 16 in 2025 and 14 in 2024. So we're right at that 16 number. And again, going to the bucket system, we look at top 10s. We had 5 and then 2. Wow. There's our, I mean, that's not a 2 to 5 projection, but that's nuts. Okay. Fleetwood, yes, I could see him being inside the top 10. Oberg, yes. Lowry, you know, although he melted down at the Masters, I could see him finishing well at this event. Goddard, so for Shrimp in the chat, there's your man right there. That could be your one dude that you want to play from this bucket. Ben Griffin, Gerard, those golfers, you know, were in the lineups that we were building earlier. Yeah, Wyndham, Sam Stevens, and Wyndham Clark. They've been in other buckets, kind of isolated from the good golfers to pick from. This could be a trap because they could be just easy glue pieces to put into our lineups. I don't really care for either of them, but, you know, Wyndham did show some good signs at the Masters, and even the Valero the week before. He almost missed the cut. I just don't know if it's someone I really want to play. Actually, he did miss the cut. It was at the Houston, not the Valero. My bad. I was looking at Alex Noren. My bad. So, anyways, Wyndham did show some good signs last week at the Masters. Alex Noren, 30th place finishes all across the board. So, yeah, I guess it's not terrible. Brian Harmon, we've already kind of talked about him. Bradley, Woodland, McCarty, and Michael Brennan, Brian Campbell. I probably stay away from Brian Campbell, although he played really well at the Masters. I mean, unless he just figured something out, which that could be a possibility. I just don't want to touch him. Is this a 1 to 4 bucket though? Like, I'm trying to determine, do I change my maximum to 4? I don't think I do. I think I keep it at 3. I think there's enough losers in this group that we won't have more than 3 inside the top 10. So I'm going to keep it there. You guys can obviously disagree, and if you, on your optimizer, if you want to change that bucket, it's the last week 2, change it from 1 to 3 to 1 to 4. Actually, let me go back. Is that even a 1? Do I want a minimum of 1 golfer? If I'm building Scotty Scheffler lineups, can I add any of these guys? Okay, so I'm going to have to be open because the best Scotty Scheffler lineup had Keegan Bradley in it. But I'm going to have to consider all of these guys. That's why Ryan Gerard was also being selected as much as he was. Okay, so this is one of those tricky spots. You have to pair Scotty up. If you're using the optimizer, you have to pair Scotty up with one of these golfers in order to satisfy the bucket projections. Here's the thing that I've kind of struggled with to some extent is I don't know how to make this like make sense or work out. If you have 3 golfers that you like from the last week 1 bucket, and then you've got 1 guy you like from the last week 3, 1 guy you like from the last week 5, and 1 guy you like from the last week 6, technically you can build a lineup with golfers from those buckets, and it would absolutely satisfy you know, the whole bucket system. This 1 to 3, there could still be 1 golfer that finishes inside the top 10. That could be Fleetwood, that could be Oberg, it might even be Shane Lowry. But if Scotty Scheffler is the guy that wins the tournament and golfers from those other buckets that I mentioned are better performances than anybody in this bucket, you could still have 2 golfers from this bucket finish inside the top 10. And you still couldn't build a lineup around it. This is the whole Scotty effect. The whole Scotty effect is if he's in your lineup, there's a likelihood you can't put golfers from other lineups in it. Or from other buckets in it. Especially if they're anchor buckets. Because that's what this is. This is an anchor bucket. We want to pick 1 golfer from here. 16 golfers. That means each one of these guys has to be at least 6% owned. You have to put them up to 6% owned, but it would be basically anybody Shane Lowry and lower. So you'd actually get rid of 2 guys. So they all have to be 7% owned, and you'd have to be really comfortable playing each one of these guys in your Scotty Scheffler lineups. Is that possible? I don't think so. Like if we're making the argument, Could Matt McCarty be the only golfer from this bucket to be inside the top 10? I would say probably not. Same goes with Michael Brennan. Same goes with Brian Campbell. Same goes with Gary Woodland. Keegan Bradley, sure. Brian Harmon, maybe. Noren, yeah, maybe. Stevens, probably not. Clark, probably not. Ryan Gerard, maybe. But here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. These golfers are just going to be very popular in Scottie Scheffler lineups. I don't want to see each one of these guys inside my Scottie Scheffler lineups. So personally, I'm changing this to a 0. You guys can keep it as a 1. Technically, it probably should stay as a 1. But I can't get there. I don't like the golfers in this bucket. I have question marks with each and every one of them. If the optimizer selects them, wonderful. I'm glad. But I don't want the optimizer to force select any of these golfers. Because it will. It certainly will. I mean, my favorites are Bradley, Gerard, Griffin to some extent. I said he might still be a little too high priced. Goddard, I don't hate, but not in my Scotty lineups. Shane, I don't hate, but not my Scotty lineups. Ludwig, I like a lot, and I like Fleetwood. And I'm going to be anchoring lineups around Fleetwood anyways, so I'm going to have representation from this bucket already. So anyways, yeah, 0 to 3. That was a long-winded way just to show you how that all works out. All right, we move on to last week 3s. We look at the projection, 0 to 2. Siwoo Kim, JT, Bridgman, Straka, Kitayama, Taylor, Penge, Connors, and Sungjae. Oh my God. 2? That's a max of 2? We'll go to last week 3 and take a look here. We have had 9, 2025, 9 in 2024. We look at our top 10 counts. We had 0 and 1. Now, this is where we want to drill. We want to look to see who the golfers were in each of these buckets. So last year, we had Poston, who finished 11th, which isn't terrible. Finished 11th. Burns, who finished 13th at 7,000. That's pretty good, too. Here's your... The price range is kind of 89, 83, 82, and then a bunch of 7s and 1-6. 96, 84, 82, bunch of 7s and 1-6. Very similar to last year. Very similar to last year. 78, 7, 96. Okay. That was 2025. Looking at 2024. 8, 8, 7, and a bunch of 6Ks. Okay, so that year doesn't really apply. That was the one year that someone finished inside the top 10. But we have people just right outside the top 10 peeking in. None of these, I mean, when I look at this year's bucket, I'm like, nah. There's not even a single person I want to play at least once. Some interest, you know, like Scythe would have been interesting. Denny McCarthy would have been interesting, but not like I have to play somebody. 2025, if I go by salaries. I know I didn't want to play Wyndham. Did I care about Shane? Probably not. Did I care about Minwoo? Probably not. There's not a golfer that I absolutely had to play. Sam Burns at 7,000 seems like the best value. JT Poston plays this golf course pretty well. So I guess on that angle, that would be fine. And he was a last year 1. Ooh, can we see some similarities here? Last year 1. Yeah, okay, same thing there. Let me look in 2024. Our golfers that did well. Last year 1. All right. That's why we go over this over this stuff. We have a bunch of last year 1s. We've got Siwoo Kim, JT, Sepp Straka, and Sungjae. So those Sungjae truthers out there. Sungjae seems like a good play. There's 4 of these guys. 4 of them. 1, just 1. 2. 2 in 2025. And actually, no, that's 4. 4, and it's not even perfect, you know? Yeah, I'm going to keep this to a 2. It's fine. There's some really good golfers in this bucket. This one also has 9. That's so crazy. The similarities, you know, it'd be cool if like DraftKings watches my stuff and is like, you know what? We're going to look at all the buckets and we're going to put all the... Actually, you wouldn't even do that because it's all dependent on the golfers that are coming over here. 9 golfers in that 40 to 60 range. And we just haven't seen a lot of success. 2024, there was success, and it was a worse field in that bucket than in 2025. This year's much better. But yeah, let's keep it to 2. All right. Again, part of this is just me going in depth over each of these buckets and trying to get their projections right. It's part of the whole process. Okay, so these are the last week 5s. These are the guys that missed the cut at the Masters. We want 0 to 2, but it could be 0 to 3. It could be 0 to 3. So again, we got to do that exact same thing that we did with the last bucket. Are there good enough golfers in this bucket that we want to play? I like Danny Berger. I don't mind Novak. Yeah, there's some good names. All right, so let's take a look. There's 14 total golfers in this bucket. We compare this to other years. Again, we're looking at last week 5s, guys that missed the cut last week. Let's look at our totals. 19 and 15. 2025, there was 19. 15 in 2024. Again, this week we have 14. So we have less. We have less than those other 2 years. And we've seen 1 and 2, respectively. So it's worth looking at the golfers in the field that were in these buckets. Henley, Davis, Straka, Kirk, Bradley, Horschel. None of these guys are that great. We went by price tag. Goes 97, 88, 85, then it drops to 77, 73, and then it's just like a bunch of 7s and 6s. So, duh, makes sense like none of these would be that successful. I mean, your most successful ones, there's Cam Davis down here that finished 13th, but it's Henley, the most expensive guy in the bucket. Then it's Straka, the second most expensive golfer in the bucket, and Keegan, the 4th most expensive golfer in the bucket. And these 2 up here were last year ones. So if we look at 2024, yeah. So we have a 3rd place and a 5th place. Clark, 92, JT, 8,400. The 2nd and 3rd most expensive golfer. The most expensive golfer in this bucket finished 40th, basically. Not great. Harman and Sungjae in the 7K range, 12th and 12th. So that's kind of what you could look at. It's pretty darn close to having, you know, 3 golfers inside the top 10. Not so much in 2025. We didn't really have that 7K presence that we did in 2024. But kind of like the same type of golfer, you know, like Sungjae and Harman, are they a lot like Keegan? To some extent, yes. They play the same type of game, in my opinion. So we look at this week. Our most expensive golfer is Bobby Mack. Terrible course history here. Very bad course history. Did not play well here last year or the year before. Probably skipping out on him. Probably skipping out on Minwoo. He also has really bad course history at this event. He's got a missed cut and a 61st place finish. Having a top 10 works here. Top 20, I should say. So Berger, Novak, and Valimaki. I mean, Berger's probably my number 1 choice of golfer in this bucket. Number 1 choice is going to be Berger. And then if I look at like the top 4 golfers for price and want to pick 1 or 2 of them, I mean, I want to believe in Minwoo, but Batia might be a good choice. Spawn might even be a really good choice. Something like that. We could even use the lead-in stats here and look at that same bucket. Last week 5s. and just use that recent form tab and just see, are there similarities? I mean, look at this. It's all like top 20s. That guy, the top dude, won an event heading into this event. All missed cuts for Cam Davis. Wow. 2024, we had 2 second place finishes for Wyndham Clark up at the top. JT was coming in with some bad recent form. Harmon had a second place finish. We also had another winner here in Austin Eckroat, so that could be something to look at. Brian Harmon with the top 2, not coming in with very good recent form for Brian Harmon. Corey Connors was coming in with the win, finished 31st. That's not super great. Nothing really there that we can look at. I'm looking for winners heading into this event. Or top 20s. Just looking at the top. I don't really see it. Just the last couple years. So, JJ Spawn coming into this event could be okay. Probably better to have a win somewhere in, further back. So, Akshay looks good. Nico Echeverria looks good. Oh, this is actually a really good golf course for Nico. You always play Nico on coastal courses, right? Okay. Nico and Berger are, I think, maybe my favorite ones to play. Okay. Next bucket to look at. By the way, 0 to 2 for this bucket, I think, right? Could be 3. I'm keeping it at 2. There's no reason to play 3 of these golfers. 2 is just fine. Then golfers who did not play last week, we got a bunch of them. This bucket is 0 to 2. But we've seen one inside the top 10 every single year. This is one of those, I'm going to take a look at this bucket system. This is on the website again. Take a look. Come on all the way down here. I want to see how many total golfers. 16 and 15. Top 10 counts, 3 and 1. Okay. So this week, there are 29 golfers in the bucket. Wow. Double the amount of golfers in any of the other years. I think part of that has to do with there being like 10 more golfers in the field than we've seen 2 years ago or something like that, and a few more than last year. Okay. Well then, this changes things. 16 and 15. That's crazy. 2025. Siwoo, he had a top. Oh my God. These other buckets are doing as well as they are, having a last year 1 as their bucket, like for last year. So these last week 6s, like we saw that with the last week 5, we saw that with the last week 3, the last week 2. Now we're seeing this with last week 6s having a top 20 from the year before. Novak did not have any course history. Hughes had a 39th place finish, and then we had a top 20 for Siwoo Kim up here. Okay. 2024. Our best golfer was Patrick Rogers, who had a top 20 the year before. Are you kidding me? So okay, hold on. Last year won 2 to 6. Like 2 to 6. We want 2 to 6 golfers. Every single year that we've looked at historic data leading into this event, doesn't matter what bucket I'm looking at for last week buckets, having a last year 1 for any of those golfers is a good sign. So, sign us all up for Rio, JT Poston, Tom Hoagie. Those are your 3 golfers that kind of already have a head start from all these other golfers. They kind of have a head start. This is what I'm looking at, by the way. Novak didn't have course history. The rest of the guys up here that did have success did have course history. 7,600, 6,200. Rio 7,700. And Tom Hoagie 6,200. The similarities. Recent form, though. These guys were coming in with decent recent form. Hoagie does not have good recent form, but neither did Patrick Rogers at 6,200 coming in. Okay. Good reason to play Tom Hoagie. So interesting. So interesting. Cool. Okay. Going a little slow. Let's speed it up. I'm going to cruise through the next buckets. Those are the most important ones to look at, in my opinion. So I'm just going to try to move on quickly. 0 to 2 course history ones. When we look at this, we have Scotty, Cantlay, Hisatsune, Novak, and Valimaki. You could play more than 2. You could play all 5 of these golfers. Would it be smart? Probably not. Remember that one bucket we were looking at, the last week 5s? You have Novak and Valimaki in there. Well, if you don't want to play Rio, which was also another good choice to pick in one of those other buckets, I mean, good gravy. This one will be a very fun one to look at the end of the tournament. I don't know what to do, to be honest with you. Well, Valimaki is not going to be the choice for me. Novak is interesting. Does that just lend itself to Hoagie then? Or no, Hoagie was in the same bucket Rio was in. Okay. Hey man, a Scotty Rio lineup seems very plausible. Or if you really like Patrick Cantlay, what a wonderful bucket to pick from. But yeah, I'll keep the max at 2. No reason to change it. Course history 2s. Our projections 2 to 5. 2 to 5. Now, we obviously have to have this conversation. There's a lot of expensive golfers here. Is it truly a 2 to 5, or can we make this a 1 to 5 bucket? Xander and Tommy right away. In buckets, you want to select golfers from. In other buckets, I should say. Fitzpatrick, same thing. Ludwig, yeah, lukewarm on that. Burnsy's not a bad choice. Spieth, love it. Hovland, sure. So this could be a 2 to 5 bucket. This is where it really matters. From $8,500 and down, can you put at least 2? It would have to be at least 2. I was going to say maybe 3. Could 2 to 3 of these golfers finish inside the top 10? There's Berger and Sungjae. I already like those golfers. Berger and Sungjae are pretty nice. And then you could pair them up with someone else, like even JT and Spieth. Okay. Yeah, I'm convinced this bucket needs to stay. Even with this, oh yeah, that's the thing. Scotty lineup. Scotty Scheffler can have Berger in it, and it can have Sungjae in it pretty darn easy. You could also make other combinations. You could put JT in it. You put JT and one of these guys down here, even Finau, probably not going to play Campbell. Harman, yeah. Noren, yes. Like a lot of these cheap 7K golfers. But how many times you could do that in Scotty lineups? I think you can do it in enough lineups where it just won't matter. I think it's going to be fine to keep this as 2. Because I'm also trying to play these 9K and below golfers in my Scotty Scheffler lineups. I guess let's look at other buckets. Let's look at the next one. Course history 3. If we can find buckets where we absolutely want to grab golfers from, then we'll change our tune. 2 to 5 is fine there. 1 to 3, this could almost be a 1 to 4 bucket. Just name value alone, this is not going to be a 1 to 4 bucket. Cam Young, I like. Henley, I like. Siwoo, got no issue with. Day, I'm a little lukewarm on. And the rest of these golfers, I don't care. There's Hoagie. We've already mentioned Hoagie. Don't mind Hoagie. Is this a 1 to 3 bucket? I already forgot. 1 to 3. Yeah, this is. Yeah, this is fine. 1 to 3 is fine. Again, there's that conversation that we're going to have to do with Scotty Scheffler lineups. Do we want to constantly be playing golfers from this bucket in our Scotty lineups? And if I was building 10 lineups, I might only want to consider, I would say out of 10 lineups, 2 of those lineups, I don't think I want anybody from this bucket. So I'm going to have to figure out a way, again, we're looking at this one here, to not be a 1 to 3 bucket if we're choosing golfers from course history 1, which is going to be Scotty. So far, we've been able to justify in each of those buckets, we could play golfers with Scotty. He's just the great equalizer. Like, you kind of can't do that in all lineups. I'm going to put some numbers off to the side here. I think 80% of my Scotty lineups, I'm cool with doing 2 to 5 course history 2s, and 80% of my lineups, I'm cool to do 1 to 3. Otherwise, I'm going to drop these down by 1. I wish I could do that naturally in my optimizer, but I can't. I kind of have to manually do it. So, okay. Not bad. Not bad. Moving on. Course history 4s. This is going to be a 0 to 2 bucket. I kind of already know. Yeah, 0 to 2. Not a great bucket to choose golfers from. Good names, though. Our boy Smotherman's in here. I do like Putnam. I have no issue playing Putnam. Sam Stevens has been shown up a lot. Same kind of goes with Minwoo Lee and Jacob Bridgman. Ooh, this is a hard one. Because, like, these are... Actually, no, I like this. I like this, and you want to know why? I'm going to limit myself just 1 golfer from this bucket. I don't know if we've ever seen, you know, course history 4s. So if I go up here, course history 4s, have we ever seen more than 2 golfers inside the top 10? We had a 3rd place finish with Mac Hughes last year. 2024, we had 1 guy finish 5th. Whoa, 6,200, 6,600. Okay. Sahith in 2023 was 8,000 and finished 5th, but you had a $6,300 and a $6,500 golfer that finished 11th. 2022, you had Harold Varnell III, who was $8,500, and then it was Tyler Duncan at 6,200. 2021, you had HV3 yet again. There, you had 3 golfers there, but 1 was 7, then it was 93, and then 10.5. We don't have, like, you've got 9,100, then 87, then 82. Only one of these guys, I think, is going to be inside the top 10. With the possibility of one of these guys down here. I'm feeling really good about Smotherman all of a sudden. I also don't mind Garrick Higo. I think that could be a good choice. Putnam, Smotherman, and Higo, lovely. I think if I am doing at least 2 of these golfers, it's going to be in 40% of my lineups. 40. Course history 5 and course history 6. I don't even think we have to look at these guys. I'll put course history 5 in here. 1 golfer, David Lipsky. Yep, don't care. Course history 6. These are golfers. These are debutantes. They've never played this. 2 would be your max. And there are some good names. Goddard's one of them. I like Harry Hall. Nikolai Højgaard's not terrible. Thorbjornsen, Yellow Mirage. Those are all wonderful. We go back to the bucket system just to show you guys, so you guys don't get tricked into playing the young studs that have, you know, great upside. Here's what their finishes have been. That's 2021. 2025. You had 1 guy finish 2nd, and then it was 18th place finishes. Now, you guys can make the assessment. Are these golfers on the screen right now, because this is all of them from 2025, did they represent the same type of bucket that we have this year? And the answer is no, because this one has Chris Goddard up at 81. Then you've got 4 golfers or 5 golfers in the 7K range, all pretty good golfers, all pretty good. So if we go back here, nobody really matches that, you know. So sure, there's some potential. Grazerman has potential. Hasatsune had potential. Same with Novak. Valimaki's already won on tour, so you could say he had potential. Same with Brian Campbell. But anyways, 2024, you had Ludwig in that bucket, and he only finished 10th. And then with 6Ks, 1 7K golfer. So this year's a bit different than previous years. A bit more name value, but still at the same time, pump your brakes. This might be a tricky golf course that you need some experience in order to play well. So we'll keep this as a 2, 0 to 2. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Okay. I know we're past the 1 hour mark and I should do a roll call, but we're going to go through these other buckets first. All right. Recent form buckets. Recent form ones. 8 total golfers. We want somewhere between 1 to 3. That's going to be a 0 to 3. I can already tell that maximum's not high enough to feel comfortable making this a 1 to 3. 0 to 3 is absolutely fine. And if we look at recent form 1 golfers, so again, using the website for the under the bucket system, looks like this, the bucket system. Scrolling down to see who the golfers were in each of these buckets. 2025, Scotty, 13,000. Everybody else didn't really play that well. 2024, Scotty. Everybody else didn't really play that well. Sure, Ludwig finished 10th. Ludwig, Oberg, Xander. We did have Mac Hughes, $6,600. Coming in with good recent form, but yeah. So not very good representation outside of Scotty Scheffler. In 2023, you had Jordo, Cantlay, and Schauffele finishing 2, 3, and 4. Second, third, and fourth. Scheffler finished 11th. Okay, so that was 2023. That's interesting to look at because we kind of have those names, same names. Scheffler, Xander, have Oberg, but changes in Fitzpatrick, Young, some of these guys. 0 to 3 is fine. And Yellow Mirage is going to be that third golfer if we're doing a Scotty lineup. Because you could go Scotty, Bridgman, Yellow Mirage, and they're not going to overlap in those other buckets. So 0 to 3 seems fine. If you don't do Scotty, you could pair up Xander and Fitzpatrick together. Or you could do any of these 10s with these 9s, and still you have Bridgman and Yellow Mirage. So you just want 3, you wouldn't want 4. So that works out. That works out. And by the way, here's what the optimizer has: 0 to 3. 2 to 5, 1 to 4. So 2 to 5 recent form 2s. This is going to be one of those conversation pieces. Can we do 2 to 5? Especially with the Scotty Scheffler lineup. So recent form 2, taking a look at it. You've got Fleetwood, Henley. Hey, we built Scotty Henley lineups. This bucket has 26 golfers in it. I don't think it's worth really talking about. There's a lot of good golfers in here. And really, can we build a Scotty Scheffler lineup with 2 of these guys? At least 2, because it has to be 2. So Henley is in this bucket. Again, we already built the Scotty Henley lineup, so it's possible. Scotty Spieth works. Scotty Burns works. Scotty Siwoo works. Scotty Goddard works. Scotty Hovland works. Scotty McNeely works. But that's only one guy, one guy from these buckets to pair up with Scotty. Then we would go down to these golfers down here. Smotherman obviously fits. Smotherman's going to be my favorite play down here. But then there's Corey Connors. There's Harmon, Alex Noren. I do like Hisatsune, but the rest of these guys, it is questionable. Could you put these lineups together? You certainly could. Here's what I'll say. For Scotty lineups, I'm probably doing that 80% rule again. 80%. If I'm doing Scotty lineups, 80% of them, I'll keep 2 to 5. 20% of them, I'm changing this to a 1. I'll change this to a 1. It's going to take careful consideration. Unfortunately, this being on Excel does not offer, complexity to what I'm trying to do. So this is just going to have to do. Recent form 3s, 1 to 4. And I think that's going to be fine. We'll just double check, see if we can. Recent form 3s, 1 to 4. So Justin Thomas is in this one. That's great. Gerard has been picked a lot. I like Berger a lot. Bradley's in this one. Echeverria, Sungjae. Okay, moving on. I'm not even gonna. This is fine. The projection's absolutely fine. 0 to 2 here, and then 0 to 1 for recent form 5s. So 0 to 2 here. Can we make the argument for more than 2? No, not at all. This is fine. 0 to 2 is fine. And then there's no real reason to look at this golfer, Tom Hoagie, who's the only golfer in this recent form 5 bucket, which is kind of sad. But we'll excuse it. It's fine. I mean, just limit your exposure. All right. I think, I don't know. Do I really? Yeah, let's do strokes gain buckets. 2 to 5 strokes gain 1. We kind of have to do strokes gain buckets because of this one, 2 to 5. So cheat sheet, go into the strokes gain stats. The buckets are down here, strokes gain 1. If you want to see what applies for the strokes gain buckets, you can go into the strokes gain last year and you can see all of the stats are positive. Off the tee, approach, around the green, putting. All of these have to be positive in order for these golfers to be strokes gain 1s. But can we make the argument to have more than one golfer in our lineup here? Not, if we're doing Scotty lineups, not really. Not really. This bucket has to change. It's got to be a 1 to 5 bucket. For Scotty lineups, this strokes gain 1 bucket has to be a 1 to 5 bucket. If it isn't Scotty, you could start with Xander, Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick, absolutely no issue, and then pair up any of these golfers to make it a 2. But would I want more than 3 or 4? I don't think so, guys. No. I'm bumping it down by 1 on both sides. This is going to be a 1 to 4 bucket. Strokes gain 1, 1 to 4. I just don't see how you could build a lineup. You could keep it to 5. Okay, no. I'll keep it to 5. You can keep it to 5. There's nothing bad is going to come from the maximums. The optimizer is not going to allow you to put 5 of these golfers in a lineup together. It's just not going to like Ryan Fox and Patrick Rogers and Ben Griffin and Harris English all at the same time. It just won't. I'd be very hard pressed. I don't think it's going to. So, moving on. 0 to 2, strokes gain 2. This is just more of a conversation. Do we need more than 2 for strokes gain 2? Burns, McIntyre, Bridgman, Day, Straka, Fowler, Yellow Miraju's there. I don't think so. More than 2? No. I'm going to say no. It's close, but no. 1 to 4 strokes gain 3. Let's see. The conversation here also is just like, what can we do with some of these golfers? 1 to 3. Morikawa has enough pause to not want to play him. Cantlay's fine. Siwoo's fine. Shane's eh. Minwoo's eh. Satsune's fine. Spawn's eh. Gerard's fine. Berger I love. Thorbjornson's not bad. Stevens is meh. Hideyama I like. So there's 2. Smotherman's down here. There's 3. This is a... Which bucket was this? Strokes gain 3. The projection's 1 to 4. Yeah, we'll keep it 1 to 4. Absolutely perfect. 1 to 4 is good. Strokes gain 4. Hovland and Justin Thomas are in this bucket. Noren is also in this bucket. These aren't terrible. Not terrible. Projection 0 to 2. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to this bucket system again. And we're looking at strokes gain 4, right? Strokes gain 4. What do we see every single year? 2025. You had Harmon and Hughes, 76, 66. 2024, 76, 78, 64, So that high, oh my God, that like 76, 74 price tag or 76, 78 price tag to go with the 64, $6,600 price tag, seems pretty good. I'm gonna go down here and just look at our numbers. We had 11 last year, 20 in 2024. You had 2 and 1. So even if when there was more, you only had 1. And this week we have 20. So up to 2, I think is fine. That $64 to $6,600 price tag is looks pretty good. Might even move it up to 68. Then this number here, 77.84, but 83 and like 8,300, 8,600, I think is just fine. Like if you like JT or if you like Hovland, I think that's perfectly fine. Batia might be a good choice. Harry Hall might be a good choice. Not bad, not bad. Okay, do we move the projection for that bucket though? 2 strokes gained, 4 golfers. No, I don't think so. It'll probably be hard to build lineups with Hovland and JT in them. And if you do that, you know, would I want one more guy down here? Probably, actually. This line, or the, yeah, I'm going to bump this up. I'm going to bump this to 3. Strokes gained 4s will move to 3. I'm not going to look at strokes gained 5s. That's fine. And I'm also not going to look at salaries, by the way. There's no reason. I'm not going to. Salary is more dependent on who are you interested in playing. And then going from there. Okay. We are done. That was long. I enjoy doing that though, because it gives me a better sense as to what to follow with the SweetSpot process. Let's go ahead and do roll call number 2. Here's all I want you to do. For roll call number 2, just type in the word buckets. For roll call number 2, just type in the word buckets. Or if you've got a badge next to your name, why don't you use the bucket emoji? Show everybody what you get for having a badge. I will read chats because I know you guys all, there's a lot of chats. Razor goes, I'm taking down the winner take alls this week. Yeah, good luck, pal. You're going to see me in all those contests. Hit that like, says Cody. Yeah, absolutely. 25 likes on this video, and I'll give out 5 free YouTube memberships. AJ, you watching this basketball comeback? What's happening in basketball? Sung J at 67 is criminal. I agree. Fitz and Scotty. Same tee time. Oh, good to know, Ryan. So you got to choose one or the other. Turning on the basketball now. Saw my DraftKings. Unbelievable game. Happy for Charlotte. Oh, it was the play-in. That's cool. Looks like Griffin is finding himself again. Sure. Bump it to 3. It's good. It's too good. I think I did, right? If I made you play 2 6Ks without Scotty, would JT Fleetwood and Cam be your favorite leverage? I think I'd put 2 10K golfers together. If I had to play 2 6Ks, I put 2 10K golfers together. So probably Fleetwood and Xander. But, you know, Cam would not be terrible. I wouldn't mind doing Cam. My mom always said I was a winner. No, that's good. You must be a winner. Siwoo was on fire earlier this year. I wonder if he goes off here. Yeah, maybe. Him and Harmon, historically good on die courses, might try to force a course horse lineup in a single entry. If everything works out, absolutely. I'll try a Siwoo M Harmon lineup. Sounds good. Z Chronic Nebula says keeps. And then I think you tried to say Keegan, but autocorrect kind of screwed you up. All right. Ryan Henson. AJ. Logan putting his own buckets in there. Sure. There's only one cool bucket, and that's the one that has a bunch of money in it. Tim walking through the Tulos. What's going on, Tim? Haven't seen you in a hot minute. Michael Kennedy, how's it going? First time seeing your chat. First time seeing you here. Appreciate you being here. All right, I think I got everybody, right? Henson, AJ, Freezem, Wheels Up, Tim Tulos, and Michael Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy. Okay. A great reminder, if you're catching this a little bit later and you saw the chat go up first before you listened to me say what the oh my God, the roll call was, make sure you click the little live button down here. Click the live button. Make sure you're caught up with us. My friend today who has a drinking problem kept texting me and kept blaming his spelling on autocorrect. I said, they don't make words like that. That's pretty funny. Pretty funny. All right, last little segment to get into before we start building lineups are the Marquee Tee Times. I want you guys to think of 2 to 4 golfers to build your lineups around. Preferably it's going to be around the Marquee Tee Times, but doesn't really have to be. We'll build lineups here and then finish this video a little bit later. You, Joanne, did you put buckets in the chat? Your chat didn't come through on my end. Joanne, I asked everyone to put buckets in. I didn't see your chat come through, but I added you. Anyways, let's do the Marquee Tee Times. All right, so you guys can follow along with me on the cheat sheet. Again, this is available to you at SweetSpotDFS.com. Just look down in the description of this video. You'll see SweetSpotDFS.com. You can click there. Under Fantasy Tools, go to Cheat Sheet. And then on the page, scroll all the way down to this cheat sheet. Click here. It'll open up this. And this is the page you'll want to be on. You can apply filters, which you can barely see on my screen. But yeah, you can apply filters. The same filters that I'm going to be applying on my cheat sheet. I'm going to hide this. And we're going to zoom out a little bit. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to put that filter that I was telling you about. And then what I want you guys to do is sort A to Z under group rank. This will be, I think, column O on your guys' spreadsheets. Actually, I can zoom in just a little bit more, it looks like. Oh, yeah. Because we've got 2 golfers per group. So basically all the Marquee Tee Times are, it's the top 9 groups. You can see it's all color coded over in column A. This just shows you the golfers that are in the Marquee Tee Times. But if you sort by group rank, you can see they're all inside the top 9 groups. And so I've done this every single week for the last, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years. We figured it out. It's just something that works. Something we noticed a long time ago that ended up working. Here were your Marquee Tee Times last year. We had 2 golfers that were in the GPP winning lineup, only 1 golfer in the optimal lineup, but we had 3 golfers that were in the Sweet Spot Optimal. We scroll down. Remember, the whole premise here is you don't want to play golfers that are in the same tee times because they rarely finish in the optimal lineup or the GPP or the Sweet Spot Optimal together. But there are times that it does. This isn't one of them. I was just looking. I'm just double checking to see there are not golfers playing together. But yeah, so this was 2025. Nobody did. So everyone followed the Sweet Spot rules there. And in 2024, this is sorted by group rank. And you can see here also, Wyndham was in the optimal lineup. He played with Sahith, who finished 2nd. And by the way, Sahith didn't score enough points to be in the optimal. They weren't even in the GPP winning lineup together. Scotty was playing with Jordo. He was in the optimal lineup. And so it was just 2 guys that were in the optimal lineup. Remember, I say select 2 to 4 golfers. Well, we have 2 here. We have 2 Sweet Spot Optimals. That was Clark and Scotty. We had 2 GPP winners. That was Scotty and Sung Jae. And then Sepp was right down here in group 10. So really close to the Marquee Tee Times. JT Poston in group 12. You can see nobody was paired up together that were in the Marquee Tee or in the optimal lineup, the Sweet Spot Optimal, or the GPP winning lineup. So yeah, again, I do this every single year. looking at all of these. Look at this one. This is from 2023. Now, this isn't like this has 3 golfers per group, per tee time group. And still here, you didn't have the same golfers in the Marquee Tee Times, or you didn't have more than one guy in a group in an optimal, sweet spot optimal, or a GPP. So going back to 2026, here are your groups. You've got Scotty and Matt Fitzpatrick. That's what Ryan Henson was saying in the chat. You'd only want to play one of them. Well, obviously they're both over 10K, or well, Fitzpatrick is 10K, Scheffler's 13.5. So you kind of have to make the idea of or you'd have to make a choice anyways. You couldn't play them together. It'd be too hard. Fleetwood and Burns, that's interesting. I would have loved to put some Fleetwood and Burns lineups together. And by the way, you still can. It's just not advisable. Schauffele and Henley, that's a super interesting group. Super interesting. Cam Young and Jordo, another good group. Oberg and Thomas, McIntyre and Griffin, Hovland and Goddard, Morikawa Lowry, and Jake Knapp, Jason Day. So these are your 9 groups. And if you're doing Scotty lineups, you can build some with, 2 of these guys. This is also, I have to take into consideration, because a lot of the Marquee Tee Time guys are expensive, and you can see no one's cheaper than $8,000, or I guess Ben Griffin is $7,800. He's the cheapest, but it's $8K and above. At most with Scotty lineups, you can only do 1 extra golfer. But if I look at these past years, so in 2024, Scotty did win. He won at 13,300. So we can kind of use this as a temperature check here. He was 13,300. He was in an optimal lineup with a guy who was 9K, $9,200. It was just one other dude. That's it. One other guy. The GPP winning lineup had Scotty and then Sung Jae. So that was a $7,300 golfer. But like I said, our cheapest guy is $7,800 this week. So that didn't really work. And it's not going to work in 2024. And it won't work this year either. So if you're doing a Scotty lineup, chances are, and this is actually what I'm going to do with the optimizer, I'm going to come down here, and under this, you remember I'm putting all these numbers here? I'd say 60% of the time, you'd want 2 to 4, Marquee Tee Times. Otherwise, I'm changing this to 1. I will change this to 1 for my Scotty lineups, because I'm taking 2024 into account. Now, listen. Linda, listen. Yes, you have Scotty and Wyndham in 2024. Very similar to this year, except for not with Wyndham, but Scotty's price tag is 13.5 this year. So we could pair him up with anyone that's 9K and cheaper. We could. We absolutely could. We really don't have that much flexibility. So this year, what are we looking at? Our potentials here would be Scotty and Sam Burns, Scotty and Henley. We did build some Henley lineups. I don't know if we can get to Scotty and Cam Young, but we could certainly get to Scotty and Spieth. We can do all those other ones. We can get to Scotty and Oberg or Scotty and Thomas. Everybody else, I guess, is live down here. We could do one of each. I don't know how smart that will be. I don't even know how good that will be. But I'm not afraid of playing Scotty at 13.5 with an 8K golfer. Let's put it that way. And I will be playing some with 9Ks. So maybe I'll change this. Instead of 60, I'm going to put this to 80. Like maybe 75. 75 works. These are just numbers for me to keep track of when I'm going to build my lineups, which I will be doing tomorrow night. Wednesday, I do live streams for members only. Yeah, this will be 75% for me, and I'll show you how I'm going to build my Scotty lineups tomorrow night. Yeah, the rest of these I think are just fine. Okay. It looks like I forgot to mention. Actually, here, I'll bring this back up. Find me 2 to 4 golfers that you want me to build lineups around. Again, I prefer you to follow this. You don't have to. But of all the golfers that are on the screen right now, in the top 9 groups, give me 2 to 4. Let me just say this really quick. Before you do that, you do have to have a badge next to your name. So you can see all the little crosshairs next to people's names. It costs $1.99 a month for me to build lineups for you guys. If you are interested in that, there should be a little money symbol down below. Or on my channel over there to the left, like next to my name, there should be a join button. Go ahead, click the join button, and then that way I will build you lineups. But it's just it's a way for the community, you know, to feel welcomed, I guess. I don't know. My brain hurts. Let's put it that way. My head hurts. Words are difficult now. And we'll put some music on. Keep it low. Keep it chill. Oh, the reason being is I want to reward those that reward me with their monthly subscriptions. Just $1.99 a month, 50 cents a week. Oh. After my Masters lineups, I have no profit in my buckets. I'm sorry to hear that. Michael Kennedy says, loving the content. Hey, man, appreciate you. Okay. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Screenshot this if you need it. We're going to build lineups. I'm probably going to get out of here somewhat soon, so I'm not going to spend a super long time building lineups. Joanne says Putnam and Smotherman. Okay. Putnam, Smotherman. Joanne's going the cheap route. Okay. Okay, I'll put Scotty at... I'm going to put Scotty at 75%. First lineup with those 2 goobers is Fleetwood, Young, Henley, Gerard, Putnam, Smotherman. Then it's Xander, Fitzpatrick, Burns, Batia, Putnam, Smotherman. Scotty, Siwoo, Ben Griffin, Harmon, Putnam, Smotherman. Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick, Cantlay, English, Putnam, Smotherman. And the last one for Joanne is Xander, Cam Young, Burns, Straka, Putnam, Smotherman. Okay. Appreciate you. Retail Ripper, I should have, my bad. I think your name is Shane, right? I meant to send it to you. Just for anyone that's coming into the chat, yesterday and the day before were absolute nightmare days for me with cluster headaches. Like, I just could not update anything. I am so behind on updating stuff. So, Retail Ripper, I think your name is Shane. And you don't have to. I tried to send it to you. I sent you one at the Masters without you sending me an email, but you did send me an email anyways, so I don't know if you actually got my optimizer request. The only issue is, like, I don't have an automated process or an automated service that sends out the optimizer. You sending a request, I understand how tedious it is. You sending a request gives me a reminder to do it. It is in my head to remind myself to send it to you, but I just don't have like a spreadsheet or anything like that I send it. Again, this week was just messed up, dude. This week was... It was not fun with the headache portion of it. All right, Mr. Henson, Fitz, Spieth, and Cantlay. Fitz, Spieth. Here we go. Fitzpatrick, Cantlay, Spieth, Hisatsune, Thorbjornsen, and Bradley. Sounds lovely. Great lineup. Fitzpatrick, Cantlay, Spieth, Hovland, Kitayama, Ryan Fox. Fitzpatrick, Cantlay, Burns, Spieth, Connors, Lipsky. That's interesting. If you like that lineup, go for it. I don't like it. Fitzpatrick, Cantlay, Spieth, Hall, Gerard, Corey Connors. Fitzpatrick, Cantlay, Spieth, Bridgman, Griffin, and Johnny Vegas. I could do a Johnny Vegas lineup. Johnny Vegas is not scared to play well with these big guys. Ooh, there's a good lineup. Fitzpatrick, Cantlay, Spieth, Bridgman, Yellow Miraju, and Billy Horschel. There you go, sir. I like that trio, by the way. Seems pretty solid. Especially like course history wise. Pretty good. Tim Tulos. Scheffler and Griffin. Very interesting. I like that idea. This should help you out, like building a bunch of different types of lineups. 7,800 Griffin, where you at? There we are. Scheffler, Straka, Griffin, Thorbjornsen, Connors, Pearson, Cootie. I like that lineup. Scotty, Day, Griffin, Yellow Miraju, Harmon, and Bud Cauley. Super interesting. Very interesting. Scheffler, Griffin, Batia, Hisatsune, Berger, Lipsky. I don't care for Lipsky. I'm not doing Lipsky. Scheffler, Griffin, Hisatsune, Hall, Noren, Rogers. Scheffler, Straka, Griffin, Kitayama. There we go. Love Kitayama. Harmon and Novak. That's a pretty solid lineup. I like that lineup. And then we get Scheffler, Griffin, Thigala, Højgaard, Gerard, and Tom Hoagie. Lovely. Great lineups. Great lineups. Okay. Going through these fast. Going through them fast. Now, just a reminder. I mean, I'll build lineups for some people here, but really just building lineups for people that have badges next to their names. Siwoo and Scotty, gotcha. Siwoo and Scotty. Scheffler, Siwoo, JT, Noren, William Mao, and then David Lipsky. I don't know how I feel about that. You know what? Oh, no. I'm just going to kick out Lipsky. I don't really care for Lipsky, honestly. I really don't. Scheffler, Siwoo, Goddard, Noren, Kim, Brian Campbell. I'm not going to do Brian Campbell. Not doing Brian Campbell. Scheffler, Siwoo, JT, Noren, Fisk, Pot. What is up with these lineups? No, I'm not doing this. I mean, Fisk, I don't mind. Oh man, why? I know why. I know why. Here, this is what's happening. We're changing the min-max to 1 to 4 because Siwoo's not in a Marquee Tee Time. Scheffler, Siwoo, Højgaard, Noren, Finau, Brennan. That's fine. Scheffler, Siwoo, Hisatsune, Noren, Im, Potgieter. Oh, if you want to be different, sure. This one's fine if you want to be different. Scheffler, Siwoo, Wyndham, Berger, Connors, Schenk. This would have been a lineup that I feel like Henson would have liked to put in. It's interesting. I'm going to skip it. I don't care for it. Scheffler, Berger, Siwoo, JT Poston, Connors, Garrett Kigo. Yeah, sign me up for that one. Scheffler, Siwoo, Wyndham Clark, Berger, Castillo, and Sammy Valimaki. Sure. Scheffler, Siwoo, Berger, Kitayama, Harmon, Mao. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, that one works for me. EJ says not looking good. Yeah, Siwoo Scotty is just, it's difficult. That's difficult. All right, so I got to the badges. I will say this. I will build lineups for the guys that don't have badges. So Michael Kennedy, this week, I will do this for you. If you want lineups built for you in the next coming weeks, just make sure, first of all, hit the little dollar bill sign down here and make sure that your gift enabling is sent on. Because when I give out memberships, the only way to receive one is to have that set to enable. You got to make that enabled. Secondly, it's $1.99 a month to have lineups built or to be a member to SweetSpotDFS.com. I think that's cheap. It's pretty cheap, right? So that's just how you get a badge next to your name. Tim, you're welcome, sir. Razor comes in with the lineup. Gotcha. What do I have? Scotty and Hovland. Scotty and Hovland. Scotty, Hovland, Batia, Thorbjornsen, Pendrith, and Brian Campbell. If you like Brian Campbell, that works. I don't know how I feel about Brian Campbell. Lipsky, we're skipping. Scotty, Hovland, Højgaard, Gerard, Jordan Smith, and Denny McCarthy. I like that. That one's pretty good. Scheffler, Hovland, Straka, Stevens, Johnny Kiefer, and Lucas Glover. Okay, that's fine. Scheffler, Hovland, JJ Spawn, Yellow Mirage, Norn, and Fisk. Kind of like that. No issues with Fisk, by the way. Scheffler, Hovland, Højgaard, Berger, Connors, Billups. I like that lineup. That was pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? Oh, Retail Ripper, by the way. I've been told this, and I know I need to work on it. A lot of my responses back, I have zero, like for me, like zero feelings that go into it. I'm just responding back. So if it sounds snarky, I don't mean it to sound snarky. I appreciate it. I really, to be honest with you, Retail Ripper, I have been wanting to put an optimizer on the website. So any of this like Excel stuff, I kind of want to get away from so I don't have to continue doing it. I just haven't really had the opportunity to do it. With every passing day and every passing, month, I do get closer to feeling of completion for this website. So I don't know, maybe in this next month I will try my hardest, or maybe I'll hire someone to build me an optimizer on the website. So that way I won't have to send you anything, which would be wonderful. Not having to send optimizers and people just going to the websites. That would be lovely. That would be lovely. Lovely. Seriously, guys, I've been wanting to put an optimizer on my website for forever. But I have a particular way I want it to be done, and I don't know if I can hire anyone to get it done the way I want it, so I want to do it myself. AJ, what do you do with the leftover penny from $1.99? Sir, I actually don't get $1.99. YouTube takes 40% of anything I make on here. So I get 60% and then I get taxed on top of that. So, sir, $1.99 turns into like $1.34. So if you want to ask me what I do with the 34 cents, nothing. I do nothing with it. I got direct deposit, baby. It just goes into direct deposit. Michael, you're welcome. Retail Ripper, I appreciate you too, man. Do I go to the 3M Open? I actually have really good memories of the 3M Open. I didn't last year. What sucks with the 3M Open is my hometown has a festival that's also around my birthday, and it's just my way to go home, hang out with the family who get to celebrate my birthday. There's golf tournaments that I like to play during that time, and that's all during the 3M Open. So it's like, where would I rather be? If I could go to the 3M Open for free, I probably would go to the 3M Open. If I could play in the 3M Open, that would be awesome too, but otherwise I kind of like going back home. So it just sucks that the 3M Open is the same time as all of that. I found it's not very Chrome friendly for me. Got to use Edge. For like opening up this optimizer, you do it online, or are you talking about just an optimizer in general? All right, I think I've got maybe 10 minutes left in me. I think I'm getting a headache, and it's just gonna be here, and I won't be able to do anything about it. Okay, I got one more lineup, right? It's Razor Sharp. Retail Ripper, did you put a lineup in? I don't even remember. I think you did. Oh, you did Scotty Minwoo. Okay, we can do that. We can do Scotty Minwoo. What sucks about this with all of us building lineups is the ownership is going to be just a little funky. So let's change this. Okay, Scotty Minwoo. What's your 5? The website. Wait. Wait. Are you talking about all these tools? Are all these tools hard on Chrome? Because I'm using Chrome right now. But it is, I do want to know what it's like for other people. You have issues with a website on Chrome? That's not good. I don't like hearing that. A tip that I do is I'll go into the fantasy tools, and I will hit the middle mouse button, like the scroll button. And so when you drill into these, new pages will open up at the top. So I like doing it that way, and then they'll load in their own time. They'll load on their own time. And then you kind of just wait for them to load, and then that should be good to go from there. But oof, I don't like hearing that it's slow. Okay, anyways. First lineup for you is Scheffler, Burns, Minwoo, Harmon, Rogers, Fox. That's a fantastic lineup. Scheffler, Minwoo, Sahith, Harry Hall, Bradley, Finau. That's a great lineup. A really good lineup. Scotty, JT, Straka, Minwoo, Colley, Lipsky. Okay, we'll skip Lipsky. Scheffler, Straka, Minwoo, Fowler, Im, Cootie. That's a good lineup. Scheffler, Minwoo, Thigala, Clark, Kitayama, Novak. That's a really good lineup too. It's got Kitayama and Novak in it. Lots of Sahith. Let's kick Sahith out. I don't want Sahith that much. Last lineup. Scheffler, Minwoo, Højgaard, Gerard, Berger, Colley. Sign me up, dude. That's a good lineup. I like that one. Me likey. Okay, last one. Razor Sharp. Razor Sharp. McNeely, Hovland, Young. Young, Hovland, McNeely, Bridgman, Hall, Thorbjornsen. That's okay. It's pretty solid. Young, Hovland, McNeely, JT, Hisatsune, and Norin. Solid. Same lineup with Castillo, which I don't hate, but I'm going to have to double check. I don't want these all to be the same. I think they all kind of have to be, right? Hovland, McNeely. Okay. Let's kick JT out. Is that 2 JTs in a row? Good night, Joanne. Logan says, I don't like the headache situation for you, Eric. Be safely. So here's the thing. The headache thing, I appreciate the support and the worry. These headaches happen during a particular time of the year for me. It's usually spring, it's usually fall, and there are triggers. One of the triggers are the bright lights that are on me right now. So it's just like, it is what it is. I'd rather be doing this than not doing it. Then there's like alcohol, tobacco, exercise. Like there's a lot of triggers that happen. Logan, I can't escape all of them. Like I can choose not to drink, that's fine. I don't smoke, I don't do tobacco, so that's fine. Bright lights, I mean, I'd have to not be staring at a computer. I'd have to, you know, basically be in a dark place my entire time that I'm going through these things. I'd rather not. What's another trigger? MSG. I usually stay away from MSG. That's another trigger. And I'm trying to figure it all out too, because like I'm keeping like a little diary of sorts of like, does dairy affect me? Because anytime I eat ice cream, it's like a headache right after that. So there's all these other things that happen. It's not just streaming that causes this stuff. It's just, I gotta be proactive. And then I just need to, you know, be careful. Put it that way. I'll just gotta be careful. Be careful. Yeah, for Chrome I have issues loading. Could be a setting, usually user error. I will say this. I think if I do this and I go to SweetSpotDFS, do you get... Okay, that was quick. Like that was really quick. There are times, I will also note this, there are times that the website is doing some kind of background maintenance that I did not initiate, but it is doing some kind of background maintenance that will slow it down to some extent. But there's a page that that happens. I'm gonna see if I can somehow get it to... Oh, that was fast. That's also in incognito mode, by the way. Let's see if I go to SweetSpotDFS this way. That's fast too. Okay, I don't know. It must be fast right now. But I know what you're talking about. Like, it's like, there must be an issue. Like that little page happens like, there must be an issue. That happens to me also. I do know that my website works best when caching happens. So if you are allowing your computer to cache your visits, that'll make it faster, at least for SweetSpotDFS.com. Just a little tip. I do have ways that I can make it faster on my side that I will admit I have not done in the last 3 weeks, so that's my fault. I'll definitely work on that, make sure that that's good to go. But yeah, there are some things you can do for sure. All right, sorry, Razor. Cam Young, Burns, Hovland, McNeely, Hisatsune, and Brennan. That's pretty good. And then we get Fleetwood, Young, Hovland, McNeely, Connors, and Johnny Vegas, which I don't hate. let's try to not do... Okay. Cam Young, Sam Burns, Hovland, McNeely, Fowler, and Jordan Smith. There we go. There we go. All right. So I will be building lineups tomorrow night. As long as all things are good. You know, headache isn't... You know, I'm not getting any headaches or anything like that. Stream as an emoji golf ball character. Do the VTuber thing. I could do that. And stream in the dark. Yeah, I certainly could do that. I will be building lineups tomorrow night. I'll probably build some lineups, you know, tomorrow during the day, and then I'll show you what I've already done. I'm probably as of now going pretty hard on Scotty Scheffler. From there, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, that, move this to here. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do from there, but yeah, Scotty has my attention. I'm probably going to try to own a lot of the 10K golfers. I don't know. At least 10%. I think, like, if I'm going overweight on a golf... no, I'll do Scotty Scheffler in 41% of my lineups. 41's the magic number. So I'll have him in 41, and I think I'm going to make sure at least I have 10% ownership for each of the other 10K golfers, and then maybe I'll see what the optimizer does with the 9K golfers. It is possible that I don't do my Scotty lineups until later, after I've built all my other lineups, just to try to normalize the exposure and the ownerships that are happening. But yeah, I'll dig into it a little bit deeper tomorrow and try to come up with some other golfers that I want to make sure are in my lineups. Other than that, does anyone have any questions? Okay. Reach out to me at SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. I will probably be up for a little bit longer here, and then I will probably head to bed, honestly. So yeah. You probably have another 30 minutes to reach out to me, I think. I think that's probably what it will be. But anyways, thank you all for being here. Good luck this week. Leave a like, comment, subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.